And we are live for episode 105 of Video Game Bullshit. We're here, and as both Tristan and Coffin said, sounds like I'm in a damn cave over here with the echoes. The echoes going on in my non-existent game room that's now just a room. It's just ridiculous, man. I went from recording on my giant normal computer TV to now I am literally recording from my Switch kiosk. So, it's very fun. And I sent Tristan a picture, but the kiosk, I actually designed the marquee that's in it, and it's with premium games. So it's classic. I have Phoenotopia in there, A Robot Named Fight, Cathedral, and then upcoming Sunshine Manor with the Graham Humphreys art on it. Looks badass. Chef's kiss, moi. Looks good. Looks great. I actually sent a picture to Frank last week when he was live streaming for Premium, and I had a picture of him on the kiosk, and I sent it to him. And then he shared it on the stream. Then I sent him a picture of him sharing the picture of the kiosk on the stream on the kiosk. I was like, kept on going through. It was like completely Inception. It was awesome though, really cool. But this kiosk was an interesting one. I actually was able to get it a couple years ago out here in Georgia. It was part of, when I still had my original Facebook account, it was part of the kiosk group on Facebook. And somebody posted that they had one available, and they were down in Orlando. And I mentioned, I'm up in Evans, Georgia. Could we meet in the middle? And he said, yeah. So at the time, I didn't have a truck. So a buddy of mine, we grabbed his truck and we drove out there. I paid him for gas and we picked it up. I think it was like a Waffle House or something, because there's a million of those in Georgia. And yeah, it was either Waffle House or a Willie Jewell's barbecue joint, which either way, excellent choices. But yeah, we picked it up, got back here in one piece. Really, really awesome. Really good price. I guess his GameStop was closing, and he was able to procure it somehow. So, it did not have the Switch, but it does have the tablet with it. Because there's like a little tablet on them that interacts with all the Switch demos. And that's a hard piece to find with it. And then it comes with the original key, so you can open it up and pull it out. The kiosk lights up. Really, really awesome piece to the collection. It's going into my own personal storage once I move. So I'll have the kiosk here at least until they pick up my truck for when I move. Because I got to load it in the truck to take it to storage. So I'll at least have somewhat of a setup to do some stuff on a smaller screen before I move. It's been a little crazy though. After last week's recording, our storage items and stuff we're not taking with us to Hawaii was packed up. It's in storage now. And then Monday, which was yesterday, we drove 3 hours out to Atlanta to drop off the Jeep to ship to Hawaii, and then drove back. So, and then both of you know the glory of clearing an installation, which I did almost all of it today, and I would have been done if it wasn't for those meddling kids. No, if they would all been open, because as you know, every single place randomly closes on post or on a military base or any of that, just randomly. So there was 3 of those that were just closed, and I'll have to come back. And I got hit up for a 10-year tetanus shot that I have to go get now, apparently. Yeah, and I was like, oh. Well, the irony... Yeah. That's classic. The thing is, though, is that, before you get your orders for OCONUS, which Hawaii is an OCONUS overseas assignment, you have to get vaccinations. So, like, they looked at my records, didn't give me this, and now, when I'm going to clear, and I final out on the 2nd, which is, like, next week, I have to have this done. And I'm like, and a hearing test, too. And I'm like, well, why didn't you catch that when I was getting my orders? I had to, like, go through a whole process to get the paperwork. Like, it's okay, Army. Like, great. But yeah, that's about where I've been at. Tomorrow they start packing up the household goods, and then that'll be shipped out. And then it's the task of getting our house cleaned and pictures taken to sell. So we got to get like some bushes trimmed down, like really low to the point where I need a chainsaw, and my stuff's packed. We just got pressure washing done outside. Like, there's a bunch of stuff where my wife Andrea was jokingly saying, we got all this stuff done. It's like we're not living here anymore, and we got all this nice stuff done for the house. Like, so irony, very irony. Haven't had a whole lot of time to play a lot of games. I did play some bullshit homework, but anything outside of that, I don't think I really played much. But maybe something will come to me by the end of the episode. What you been up to, Tristan? Oh, Lord. Yeah. Oh, nice. So,
Day. Guesses on the grade, Jeff. I already showed Coffin.
so guesses of the grade on your C. Your what game was it again? I was seeing in the chat that some of your audio wasn't working, and so the desktop, because I switched monitors for some reason, your audio wasn't going through. It is now. I see it now.
Okay.
So the very first part of the episode, you'll hear me talking. Won't hear you guys talking. So
okay.
So start that part over for a second here, Tristan.
No worries. Okay, well, I'm not going to repeat the narcolepsy thing. Long story short, I might be going on short-term disability, so I might have a lot of time on my hands to play video games.
Game Doc, we know you can hear them. We see the audio now. We're good, brother.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so and the second thing that has to do with video games, this one actually does. I bought a raw copy of Final Fantasy on the NES from a local game store for money. And I sent it to CGC, and less than a week later, it's back graded. Okay. Guesses as to the grade, Jeff.
What is CGC grade out of? Is it out of a 10-point scale? Is it a letter grade? What is it?
It's on a 10-point scale. They do exactly like WADA with the they do a 10-point scale, and then they do an A, B, C, whatever for the seal quality.
Okay, well, I haven't seen any of the pictures, so I wouldn't know what to give you for a grade. Because I'd have to see the pictures, see what the folds are, see if there's dents, scratches, like if it's mangled and rolled into a little ball, and you just have saran wrap around it still, and you send it in. Like, I mean, what did you consider it when you sent it in? Was it like minty? Was it like okay looking? And Tristan's frozen.
I think he froze.
It looks like he's sleeping. Narcolepsy. Like,
yeah.
It literally looks
his
like
webcam went narcolepsy.
It literally looks like he's sleeping on stream. It's so good. Yeah, Doug says he gets Tristan sleeping in 8.5. His new camera must be freezing.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties tonight. Can you hear?
There we go. He's back.
Oh, good time. Anyway.
Okay.
A 9.4.
9.4.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow. Yeah, I was just asking you though, Tristan. Like what type did it have? Did it have dense screen? Did you consider it minty? Because then I could, I don't know, it could have been like really bad or something. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. No. The box is pretty much flawless as far as I can tell, but the plastic has scuffs.
Okay. That's good though. 9.4 is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, with an A seal. A. Yeah.
A seal. Pretty cool. On the Final
and of course,
Fantasy,
it's gonna stay in the collection. Like I'm not selling it or anything.
On the Final Fantasy realm, though, like Square Enix did send me my copy of the Pixel remaster for Nintendo Switch with.
No! We gotta wait till the news for that one. We gotta wait till the news for that one.
I got it with the giant box with the pickup. It's what's new. It ain't news. I got it in the mail.
Yeah,
you got CGC shit in the mail. You got Final Fantasy in the mail. I got Final Fantasy in the mail. Yeah, I got my copy in. No, it's pretty cool. I didn't even open it. I watched an unboxing, so I didn't have to open mine because it went right into storage. But haven't played it or anything because haven't had time. But like, looks freaking huge. It's a giant ass box and really, really nice packaging. Really nice.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like, it's really, really well done.
Mm-hmm. Also, I didn't mention it, but the Switch or the NES, the complete NES Kickstarter, has like about a day left at this point, so it's in the final day. Well on our way to hit the next stretch goal, which is pretty awesome. So that'll be pretty badass.
Very nice.
Yeah. What else you got? You got anything else going on, Tristan?
Apparently my camera's still blurry. But you know, we're all used to that now. I have no idea what it is. I have a freaking 4K camera. I've got gigabit internet. I just did a speed test like right before we went live. I've got 240 meg down and 100 meg up.
Hey, Coffin,
so there's no reason I should be blurry.
This on Windows 95. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it must be it. Windows 3.1.
Vita.
He's running it on Vita right now or something. He's running on an old Acer computer, like a little flip laptop. Has a little nub in the middle.
We did a test on Facebook though. It was crazy. We did a test on Facebook the other day, and it came in perfect. And I was like, "Oh, your camera must be done," because he hardlined it to his computer. So I'm like, "This is gonna work great." And it's still boring. I don't get it.
My thing is that when you take over the streaming while I'm traveling, my side will probably be garbage and you guys will be fine because I guarantee you it's on my side. It has to be on my side at this point. Like, Coffins comes in fine. It's not yours. I think it's just something weird and funky with the way that this is set up. I don't know. My internet here isn't great either. Like, it's not. And I'm using an extender 2 rooms over to actually get the internet to come decently into this room that's in the game room. So...
Oh, that's another thing. Like, I actually moved my modem and router to the room where I mean, it's like right there, and I ran a Cat 6 cable straight to my computer. So there, I took out all variables.
And yours is still freezing, whereas, like, I mean, honestly, yours could be so fast that it's overloading the feed.
It could be, yeah.
It got flash speed.
Yeah, it could be like whereas Coffins and mine are normal. Like it's like yours are just too high speed. It's probably pushing.
Just doesn't know what to do with all those bits.
Well, it's like funny is when I got the Coffin recommended camera. It literally is the exact same camera as the one I had, just like the next version up. So it's like almost identical. The light color went from blue to white. That was like on the camera itself, and it probably is slightly better with something, but it seems like it's a little less blurry because mine would go in and out of focus, and now it doesn't do that. So
yeah, you're as clear as day on YouTube, and Coffin's not far behind. But then there's freaking me. I don't know.
I'm telling you, like once I'm traveling and in Hawaii, I'll probably have a delay too. It'll probably be horrible, and I'll be like, all right, guys,
I look like I'm being broadcast over a Game Gear screen.
You look like LimeWire when you used to download a video for like freaking 2 days, and then you download it, and it's like the worst quality video ever.
Dude, this is the best quality Game Boy camera I've ever seen, Tristan.
Yes.
This Game Boy camera looks amazing. Like, I don't know how you did it, but
It's very 1992 for sure.
Chat recommends, Tristan, that you feed the hamsters, so I agree. Feed the hamsters inside the computer so they can run a little faster.
That's something I haven't tried yet. That's true.
Feed them. Make sure you feed those hamsters.
Yeah.
There was one more thing, and I don't know if it's news or not, but apparently me trying to not get fat in between when I go on leave, and I went on Facebook and started the donation charity with the soldier suicide awareness. Apparently it got funded, so now I got to do 100 miles in May.
You notice how I donated to that. I wanted to see you suffer.
That's what people told me. I was like, damn it. I was like, well, the thing is, though, it's a good cause. I'm going to do it. For sure, I'm going to do it.
Oh, heck yeah.
I have to do, I think, if I want to take weekends off, I got to do about 5 miles a day. In the middle of one of these weeks, I'm going to Josh and Sheena's over in North Carolina, so there's going to be a couple days. So, essentially, every day that I can run, I'm probably going to run at least 4 or 5 miles. I'm already doing that. I just don't go every day. So, it'll just keep allow me to keep drinking some tequila and margaritas and stuff.
Good deal.
Or I could just stop drinking and not have to do the running, but Classics. Real media streaming is what Tristan's using. Real media.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
dude, my eyeballs. I'm gonna have to like go get some eye drops or something.
I've got camera.
Some allergies going on right now.
Oh, allergies out here. The honeysuckle is going crazy, and I think next is going to something else blooming. Like, it's nasty out here. I have been sneezing nonstop. It's like Georgia's crazy, and you were sending me pictures of snow, and it was like 70, 80 degrees out here, but it's like the pollen is everywhere. Coffin, what are you up to, man?
So this week is officially I'm by myself. My wife went to a convention. Funny story. She went to a convention in Philadelphia, but what she did was she went to the wrong city. It was actually Pittsburgh. So it's a 5-hour cut between it.
Oh,
so,
no.
So what happened was today she got in with her friend, and her friends were trying to find her, and they were getting confused, and they figured out, she went to the wrong place. So she tried to get a flight, but what's funny about the flights were there was they're literally 5 hours away from each other, but they had 2 different stops in 2 different directions. So it made no sense. So they had an electric car, and she just basically went so it was supposed to be like a 5-hour trip, but it's like basically like a 7-hour trip because she had to stop at all these charging stations to charge up her stuff. So she got caught in all this crazy scenario today. So I feel bad for her. She just texted me. She just made it into Pittsburgh. So she'll be able to make her thing tomorrow, which I'm glad. But I bet she's uber tired. We've been up since like 3 o'clock this morning and taking her to the airport. So she's had a pretty crazy day.
That's craziness.
And then I got something that you'll enjoy. I finally got this.
The Devil's Third.
The Devil's Third. And then, by the way, I'm really surprised by this, too. I got this as well, and this one is super fun. I think this is probably my favorite Wario game so far. Me and the kids have been playing it like crazy.
I do enjoy the WarioWare games. Ironically, one of the topics of the episode, but I'm not going to spoil it, but you see it in the title. But I was playing the first WarioWare game on Game Boy Advance right before it came out on Switch. Like when they launched the Game Boy Advance player, like I was actually playing it, and I went and beat the game, the first WarioWare.
They're awesome. The mini games are so great.
Yeah, it's fun in this game. It's really cool. But yeah, it was really crazy. But yeah, the Game & Wario, that was one I never actually... I own it, but I don't think I played it.
It's really fun. They had they use the tablet so good, and what's so great about it is like they have one level where it's just basically Wario's nose with an arrow, and you're basically just shooting targets. And if the target's too close, then they jump onto your tablet, and you have to like kind of crush them and stop them and stuff. And my kids were just loving it.
Oh, that's funny. That's unique, and Nintendo. It always seemed like used the Wii U as their testing bed for what they wanted to do with the Switch, but then you have
Yeah,
stuff like
for
that where they're truly using the tablet as a second device, making unique games for it. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very interesting. Now if Tristan has
I think it's going to be like the Dreamcast, I think.
Dude, my allergies are just horrible right now. It's so bad. I mean, like, I'll be right back. I'm going to use some eye drops. This is crazy.
Yeah. Crazy.
But another thing I completed, I'll show you too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen this bundle while we're waiting. This is the Sonic bundle for Dreamcast. Sorry, the camera's not going in there. So I was missing a not for resale version of Sonic Adventure. I had everything else but that. And what was funny was the guy that I bought it from, it's a store, Ben's Game Zone, they took it out because they were just going to sell it. They just parted it. And so I bought a regular version of Sonic Adventure and then found out from a friend named Zach that worked there. And he was like, oh, it actually came with a not for resale version. And it also came with a Sonic Adventure 2 demo. And so they brought it in when I went to pick up those other 2 games I just got. And they gave it, I basically paid for it. And now it's officially CIB. So it's officially done. It was a version I'd never seen before. I didn't even know that it even got released. But I guess it was on the 10th anniversary of Sonic when it got released for it. And it was like $155. You got Sonic Shuffle, Sonic Adventure 2 in a demo, a blue VMU, and then a one controller in the console.
I want to say that is the console that I got. Like, it's literally the same VMU that I had, same games. I had the demo, everything. I must have gotten that version later. Because it was right before Sonic.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. I know they had the sports one and they had the regular version one, and they all, they had the Hello Kitty one and all the stuff from Japan. But in the States, I never knew they had that bundle. So when I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I had to pick it up.
Absolutely,
especially Sonic bundle.
That's cool having it like with the variants and things. Like, that's badass. And
yeah, I never even knew that version existed. That not for resale, like 2-disc version. Didn't know.
No, I absolutely hate Sonic Shuffle. Not a fan of that game at all.
not good.
No, like, there's a lot of really cool, brand new Sega Dreamcast games nowadays. I think there was one game, a platformer called Alice Sisters on Kickstarter that either is about to end or just recently ended on Kickstarter. That was a really cool one. It's a sequel to another Alice game that was released on Dreamcast. Volgar the Viking, there was a Dreamcast version of that game that's awesome. Sturmwind, it's great. Shoot 'em ups. There's a whole lot of ones.
Yeah, Sturmwind is awesome.
It's really great. What is it? NG Dev Team, they did so many great shooters.
Yeah.
Some great platformers. That's probably my favorite Dreamcast, guys. Little known story, they stopped making Dreamcast versions of their games, and like a couple of them only went to Neo Geo AES because of the piracy on the Dreamcast. Because they would sit there and release a game, and then within like the first month, it's already available online to download. So it's like they're like, let's killing our sales.
Yeah, big time.
That is
That's
absolutely a console that I would release though physically as a publisher. Like, I would do some Dreamcast games for sure.
Another guy at Wizard does his own exclusives. Like he did like Doom. He did Seven Mansions. Mm-hmm. He also did one for LucasArts. And then there's also Video Games New York. It's like a store in New York, I guess, and they get exclusive Dreamcast games for their store.
Video
that
Games
get
New
built and stuff too.
They're big for it. There's a big thing in Europe for it too. I know Wizard Ruins Gaming, and he writes me love letters in the copies that he makes for me.
I had him sign one of those for me because I wanted one so bad, because we made a joke with him. He had a Back to the Future 2 that I wanted really bad, and he said one's going in store and the rest went out, so of course the ones online sold out, and I sent my aunt to his store, and when she went in there, he caught me because he's like who are you with? Because he didn't even announce the Back to the Future 2 was in the store. And she's like, no, I'm just getting this for myself. And then he walked out, and then he messaged me afterwards. He's like, you're Ben for my stores, and just joking around and stuff. So I thought it was hilarious. Because I just wanted that Back to the Future too.
So you want to know a little Wizard history? Do you know the Wizard history, Tristan, with Hagen's Alley?
No, I don't.
So Wizard did one of the variants of Black Box Challenge.
Oh, cool.
So
Really?
the edition he did, there's a limited edition version that he did with a clear cartridge and its sparkly label, and he cut up all the Black Box games as little cardboard cutouts and put it inside the game. A ton of them.
Holy crap.
Oh,
That's
I do remember
cool.
that.
I
do
don't
remember
even
that
have
one.
a copy of it because he never made mine. The jerk never made mine. That little jerk never
Wow.
made mine. Now I always give him crap. I'm like, you gonna make my copy or what? Because he still has all the pieces of my one copy that he hasn't made me yet. But yeah, he created he did a whole release for it. We did 10 copies, including mine.
Yep. If anyone wants to know what his stuff looks like, this is one of his right here. I put it around my
Slime
desk.
cartridge. He did a pink version too.
Yep.
I know. I wanted that one, but the only one that was up at the time was the green one because he put out a message, and then he said, "I will reply to you if you actually made the cut." And so he wrote me, and I made the cut for the green one, not the pink one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he does great work. Love his stuff. And he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he really
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what the Wizard Ruins gaming was. I think he had done some social media comments about YouTubers ruining gaming or something, and they all were mad at Wizard. And so they're it was just there was a bunch of YouTubers that were mad at him 5-6 years ago. And we did a video game bullshit episode where we talked about it, and then we talked to him on it. I think we interviewed him on it too or something. Brought him on. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's such a
I'll
crazy
get
ass
over
dude.
it.
He's a crazy ass
Yeah.
dude. It was fun.
I met him, I think it was either 2017 or 2018 in Portland. Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And it was he had actually got permission from the developers of AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, to do repros of it, or the homebrew of it.
Yeah.
So I think he brought 10 copies or something like that. So I mean that was one of the things that I went there for, is just to get a copopy of that. But I actually ended up giving
sent
my
me one of
copy
those.
to. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I gave my copy to Ryan, who is he freaking runs the Metroid database. He didn't even know about
My
that.
Metroid brother.
So
Funny that
yeah,
he didn't know about
it
that.
definitely belongs in his collection, not mine. I am not
I mean,
a
if
Metroid
he didn't
fan. I
know
don't
about
pretend
it,
to be.
how is he? How good is he if he didn't even know?
I know, right? Yeah.
What the
How can
hell,
he-
Ryan?
What a pretender.
What a poser, man.
Leave
What
my
a
brother
pogue.
alone.
What a pogue. Yeah, that's super funny though.
I'm with you, Team Ryan. Team Ryan all day.
He was on the chat last week. He came in late, but
Yeah.
it's super funny though. No, I mean he's usually at Game On Expo every year, so I think he's pretty close to Phoenix, so he'll
Oh
be
yeah,
out
that's
there.
his home turf.
Yeah, he'll be out there. Hopefully, if the plane tickets are the right price that John was telling me, John Lester, then I'll be going out to Game On as well.
Yeah, same. I plan on it.
Take a
I'm hoping
7-hour flight.
But too, my aunt lives there, so I have a house.
I'll,
And if you guys
I'll
need
buy a
something
tent
shipped home,
and
I can hook you up too.
can I use your backyard? Just put a tent up.
Pitch a tent.
It'll be 100 degrees.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Phoenix. Crap.
You ain't gonna be pitching any tents, Tristan.
And that's why I purposely didn't say I was gonna pitch a tent at his aunt's house. I purposely didn't say that.
Backyard. We're not doing that, Tristan. That's wrong. Why would you?
You said it. I didn't. You said it.
I'm just paraphrasing. It's mastery. I don't want to. I wanted to, source it correctly using a similar sentence and giving you full
I'm
credit.
sure Coffin's aunt is a lovely woman, but I have no desire to pitch a tent at her house.
In their backyard.
Listen, if you ever seen Golden Girls, she's combined of all 4 of those Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Just to let you know. And she can drink her butt off too, so you would definitely like her, Jeff.
That'll be fun.
She makes some strong margaritas.
Sounds like we're about to have a party at Coffin's aunt's house.
Pitching tents, drinking margaritas.
Well, that's you pitching the tent, brother. That ain't not doing any of that. No, it'll be fun though. Like Game On's a great time though. Usually the after party at Cobra Arcade Bar is where it's at, and then we usually after we close that sucker out, and they'll have like food trucks outside too. We all hang out at the hotel or whatever and just shoot the shit all night.
Awesome.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Ridiculous.
I miss home. So much fun.
Yeah, I love Phoenix area too. It's really cool. Yeah, it's just whatever John can do. I know Premium is running the lanyards, I think, this year. We're going to have lanyards. So that'd be freaking awesome. And we are moving forward with our Series 5 releases. So we are getting all of the proofs sent to me like within the next week or so for all of Series 5. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, I caught it. I asked to see, one more time because of what we won't mention on the podcast of Air. I am Air. But I asked to see them one more time, and I found another error that they had.
Oh,
there was a layer
same
that was
thing?
turned. No, there was a layer that was turned out. No, the error, us being art people, is that after I approved the digital proofs, they changed it because they thought they would make it look better, and they messed up the color, the sizing of the stuff, and orientation of something. And I'm like, you can't touch that stuff. Once it's approved, it's approved. I looked at the approved ones, and it was approved correctly. So, gotta love that stuff right there. Like, and then, and then we got, Tristan didn't mention it, but his giant tome is coming. I think he's sleeping again.
I think he fell asleep too. Uh-oh. We lost him.
We lost him. See, he fell asleep completely. But and it's like me now.
I have a narcoleptic computer apparently tonight.
His camera's gone. It's a picture of me now as Tristan.
Okay, I'm back.
Inception.
I'm back again.
There we go. Yes.
Oh, I got no explanation, guys. I don't know. Yeah, narcoleptic computer.
No idea.
That's
but yeah, like you didn't mention it, but your tome is coming up this summer. Your 2,000.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited, and I mean, to make a lemonade out of lemons. If I do end up going on short-term disability, it means I have enough time to finish up the book in time for the Kickstarter instead of vice versa.
My biggest recommendation for you is going to be, we're going to have to not only, because 2,000 pages, do you know how much that's going to weigh?
No, it's almost 2,400 pages, Jeff. 2,400.
Do you know how much that's going to weigh?
A lot.
So my 630-page Super Nintendo book is over 5 pounds.
Yeah. So it's going to be 20 pounds at least.
You're talking about 20 pounds. So
I know.
The one thing that's going to happen is the corners are going to get jacked up. So we're probably going to just have the book printer put foam over the full slipcase one with all the books in it. Like we're going to just have to have them do that right in the printer. The other thing is, I don't think that is something that Josh and Sheena at our warehouse is going to have room for, so it's going to have to go to the traditional Hagen's Alley warehouse too.
Okay.
It'll ship immediately. It'll be shipped immediately.
Yeah, and whatever cost is associated, that's what the Kickstarter's for. So
exactly.
We'll figure out those numbers.
Oh, I'm waiting on quotes, man. Waiting on quotes.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, it'll be but that will be the one thing though, is that if we have them do it in assembly, then ShipBob, which is who I use as a warehouse, they're just like a major warehouse. They can't jack it up. And so that's my major concern when I'm using a warehouse, is like they're just going to have employees doing it. I'll put down used bubble wrap and it'll show up to your doorstep with some paper. Like just tossed in an oversized box with paper, and it's mangled.
Sweet.
So if we have them do like bubble wrapping before it or foam or something nice beforehand, they can't jack that up. So I feel like that's probably what we're gonna have to do, because it's gonna weigh so much. We want to make sure that shit arrives pristine as much as possible.
For sure.
Yeah. I
But
think
yeah, did you see the cover for the fourth volume? Like, man, that
looks
pixel
so good.
artist I hired, that dude killed it, man. Oh my gosh, so talented.
Looks so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, speaking of covers, I got the almost finished cover from Mickey Ivy for the Black Box Challenge novel.
Oh, nice. Very
And
nice.
Awesome.
that shit looks really, really cool. I mean, it's been years coming, but like I just got it from her. I asked to fill up a little bit of space, but it looks like an old school choose your own adventure book. It's not gonna look great on this camera, but like it's gonna be cool. I'll share it in the chat later, but it looks awesome. It's like the main character of the book, which you end up playing in the game. I gave him a name and a backstory in the book. Is going up toward the evil overlord's mansion, and
Cool.
the Duck Hunt dog's there, and a few other characters and enemies and things from the game are there. I just asked because there's like a big space in the top left corner where there's some sky, and I just asked, well, can the the tower be in there or something else? So I think I'll fill that up. But really cool thing. I wrote that like 6 years ago, and we've been working on art for it for many years. And she isn't the quickest, but she is a damn master at art. It looks so good. It's gonna be a cool one, and I just gotta print them and ship them. It's craziness. Did Tristan freeze again?
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah.
Looks like he did.
Every like once in a while, Tristan's gone, man. Oh, that's gonna be a fun day for him. Like, maybe we keep her going, man.
Yep.
Poor Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh, look, Tristan disappeared on us again on his camera. I'm telling you, he's probably pushing out too much.
He's got ludicrous speed.
He is. He's at ludicrous speed.
I see what's happening, but yeah, just bear with me, everybody. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Well, now the audio side, they're just gonna hear us complaining about cameras, and they're gonna be like, "I don't care. I can't see anything, anyways, guys." Start talking.
That's
about
true.
video
That's
games.
true.
So
Yeah.
let's.
But hopefully it doesn't cut out while I'm like talking about something. But
No, your audio's
see.
good, man. I mean, it'll pause completely. But let's go to the main topic of the episode. This was an idea that Tristan had when we were brainstorming. But essentially, new ways to play old games. So essentially, how do we play old games nowadays? And what are some of the newest things? And then it'd be interesting to hear what each of our setups are currently. Like, I mean, outside of playing it on an NES or like, because in fact, if my Sharp NES TV was still here, like I'd play Nintendo on the NES TV. But like, what are the ways that you play now? And why?
Yeah.
And why? So like, for example, over the years, I've pared down my collection significantly to things that I'm most nostalgic for versus having full sets. Space issues, I move all the time, all those type of, excuses and answers and all that. So that's a reason why finding alternate routes to play things is important. Also, like, I'll touch on older ways that I used to accomplish this too. For example, have either of you heard of Xbox coin ops?
No.
So,
Is that the online service?
no. So coin ops was essentially the Raspberry Pis before Raspberry Pi was a thing. So you would go on the websites, you would get a full build. Your Xbox, you would have to have a memory card for the controller, and a memory card saved for like a Call of Duty game, and then it would like boot load through the memory card slot that save that would allow you to put essentially like a RetroPie build onto the Xbox, and it was called Coin Ops.
Cool. I mean, I've
was-
heard of XBMC, and I had that loaded, but I've never heard of the Coin Ops.
Yeah, it's very similar to an XBMC. Maybe they changed the name probably to XBMC. I'm probably using a really old version. My original Xbox still has that on there. So what I liked about it is it still plays original disc too, and then you can swap into that. I had a couple cool builds, and mine I had customized and added a bunch of NES homebrew onto it and edited all the art. And the one thing I really did like about it was because of the output of the Xbox, it was pretty accurate, emulation accurate for it, as good as you could get back in the day. Not non-FPGA. So I thought that was a really cool option, old school option. It is not how I game now. I actually had a Coin Ops Xbox modified CRT inside of a original arcade cabinet that I made back when I was like 10 years ago when I was in Indiana living, right before we started video game bullshit. And it was an arcade cabinet that I had rescued. We had a little game club called Retro Raiders with my buddy Jason Duesbury and Jason Wisniewski. We had Wiz. And we actually went to this place. It was like a craft vending, like big ass abandoned building that's still owned by someone. Running water coming through the ceilings.
Oh wow!
Completely massacred. It was a damn arcade graveyard. But inside of this freezer, there were like 6 to 8 pristine, non-destroyed cabinets. One of them was an Astro Fighter that none of the innards, none of the monitors, anything were any good, but the cabinet was good. So I stripped down the cabinet, painted it all black, got some custom arcade sides, and made my own MAME cabinet, but it actually was an Xbox Coin Ops cabinet, so it didn't have a computer, but it ran like flawlessly. And then I put a PVM inside of it. So I had like a big ass heavy PVM in there, and it was awesome. And then for the controls, instead of using an Xbox controller, I actually had an X Arcade tank stick with the trackball.
Yes.
And so then I had taken this Astro Fighter and I had cut with a jigsaw a notch so that way I could set it perfectly on there. This when I had to inevitably move, which I think the Army moved me to Maryland after this point. We also had a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade, which was a conversion of a Bubbles machine, which is super rare. But I had sold both of those arcades to a local games store, and that store was ran by Lewis. Called him Can't Stand Ya, but Castaneda or whatever, however you say his last name. But he his store doesn't exist anymore. But he got both of our arcades at one point. Our Mortal Kombat, I want to say, still is in the local Indiana, South Bend, Mishawaka area. Don't know what happened to that Xbox Coin Ops custom monstrosity I made though. But yeah, so that Coin Ops thing, that was a really cool way to do stuff. It could play all the way up to like N64 pretty decently. I think that's how my daughter first played Mario 64, and that's how she had her nostalgic for the Mario movie. I think she played it on Coin Ops, but I had her use the Xbox controller because Mario 64 on a tank stick, the joystick would have been terrible. So, you guys do any old school ones, or do you want to dig into like newer?
I mean, like, I'll elaborate on what you did. I mean, I did kind of a similar thing to you. I back in probably 2006 or something like that, I actually bought the X Arcade, not only the tank stick that you were talking about, but I bought the kit that actually like like you build your own arcade basically and put a TV inside of it.
Oh, those are so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it didn't survive like all the moving that I did, while I was in the Air Force, unfortunately. But at the very end of its life, I actually bought a 27-inch Wells Gardner arcade monitor and put it in there. So, I mean, it was a really decent MAME machine. I kind of miss it, but yeah, nowadays you actually can't find a like build your own arcade, but for a CRT. They're always for LCD screens now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a bummer. Um, but yeah, like as far as and I'm on the same page as you. Like I've kind of curated my collection. Like I used to have about 3,000 games, which isn't the biggest collection in the world, but it's not the smallest either. But now I've probably got rid of about 2/3 of those games now. Just keeping all the nostalgic stuff and getting rid of and turning the other stuff into my local game store into money for like Windows for my house or whatever,
Windows
I'm getting
95
old.
machines to run
Yeah,
the
Windows
podcast.
95 machine with
A lot of Vitas.
Pentium.
And pitching tents in ants' backyards. Yeah.
Ay.
But yeah, no, like it's true though. Is like there's reasons to pare down. Space is one. Just life is another. It's just, and it's also like, I've noticed moving around as much as I have. If it sits in my garage and it doesn't even make it in its way to the collection display at all for 3 years,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what's it doing? So, once I retire, I'm planning on doing some kind of rental display. I think that'll be really fun.
That's cool. Yeah. And I think it's appropriate that we're actually leaving Coffin till last because
Yes.
he has like the Megazord of setups right now, and I'm glad that we're not going to be following up his because his trumps all.
Well,
and
you
you'll
said
know
Megazord.
why.
Did either of you watch the new Power Rangers movie?
No,
It was.
no,
I watched
not
it this
the new
weekend. It was awesome.
I was like, it was exactly what I remembered cheesy Power Rangers to be, but it was kind of sad seeing it too because it just. It was like it was missing, because it's missing the Green Ranger and stuff. It was missing some stuff.
Yeah.
But it's classic cheesy ass Power Rangers, and they had Coffin's collection. They showed the Megazord. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you'll know what I'm talking about when he gets to it.
But of course, Tristan, like and Coffin, I only talked old school. I will talk about what I currently do, which is multifaceted, and it's interesting and it's fun. Which is actually why I do everything I do is because it's fun. Like make books because it's fun, publish games because it's fun, like collect certain ways. Like the way that I do things is interesting. But I want to hear the Megazord story.
Before
I'll start off first.
No, before you get to the Megazord, I just gotta get mine in real quick.
Megazord.
So
Dragon Sword.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah. So, the only reason I got rid of, I used to have like probably 56 or something like that TurboGrafx games and a whole bunch of stuff, but like, I am nostalgic for a lot of those games. However, at some point I bought the Turbo Everdrive, which you can load all the ROMs onto and play on native hardware. Yeah, sure, it's not a purist way of playing. However, it is a modern way of playing old games.
There is the argument, though, Tristan, that a TurboGrafx game, an NES game, a Super Nintendo game is data on chips. And putting data onto a different set of chips that happens to push it from an SD card is still data. It's still transmitted. Once it's transmitted to the system, if it's interpreted the exact same way.
Sure. There are purists that you can play on a Retron, which is kind of a sloppy emulation way, but arguably. And then you've got your FPGA consoles for purists. Which whatever. But then, I like playing on native hardware.
Well, and there's the native hardware versus modern. And I was 100% with you I could not do anything but native hardware until FPGA.
Okay, yeah.
And that'll be part of my story though, and how I've evolved it, because like I didn't even like Framemeisters and that kind of crap.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. I
couldn't even do the Framemeisters like I need to play it on a damn CRT. I need to play it exactly. That's why I like the Sharp NES TV. Like that's one of my personal grails. It's in my top 5 personal grails because it's the way to play NES. Like you can't.
I totally agree with you. So I've got like a modern OLED LG TV. And then I've got a CRT, and on the very opposite side of my game room is a CRT, hooked up to like a laser active, so that I can play those games on a CRT. But in order to play like the old stuff on a modern TV, if I ever want to, just like lounge in a comfortable position, whatever. I never had a Framemeister, but I do have a RetroTink 5X, which is the new hotness when it comes to upscaling and whatnot. But it's got like a SCART input, so I've got all these like SCART cables for pure RGB output from consoles. It looks amazing, but yeah, you're right. It's not how we played it when we were kids, so it's not exactly.
And he froze. Ironically though, like while Tristan is taking his siesta over here, frozen again, he mentioned something important, which is what are your thoughts, Coffin? Because he'll get back into his story once he unfreezes, of playing things natively as possible versus modern. So for example, when you're playing emulation, playing pixel perfect shit versus adding scan lines and fake scan line crap. You know what I mean?
Like I said before, like the last podcast, I was really poor, so like just to get it running is all I really need. I'm not like, I didn't learn about enthusiasts, like especially like obsessed with like the way the video needs to be and how like you're saying for like lag for like Mike Tyson's Punch Out and things like that. Like I didn't really know that stuff. I just kind of was like, okay, I got a CRT TV, as long as I connect it and as long as I can play, I'm good. I know nothing about lag or any of that type of stuff, so I'm just like old school, I guess. You give me a coax cable, I'm cool. I'll play it. I have no issues with it.
Well, and like what we were talking about, Tristan, was like pixel for emulation or even modern stuff. Pixel versus adding scan lines to emulate a CRT. We'll let you get back into your story now that you're unfrozen again. But the interesting thing is that I actually don't even play the emulation with the scan lines on yet, because I don't feel like they accurately interpret what I played on a CRT yet. It's not quite there.
Sure.
And the argument towards CRT scanline manipulation of emulation is that when game designers created their pixels and their graphics for NES, Super Nintendo, and 64 PlayStation era, they created it with scan lines for the CRTs in mind. So there's some blurring effects that happen with the graphics that were 100% anticipated by the developers and the designers. So that way it looked a certain way. So when you look at it crisp, it actually is exactly how they wanted it. So and game developers and artists have came on and done interviews since and had mentioned that over the years. So there's an actual historical credence to using scan lines for emulation.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still feel like it's not quite there, and I've noticed with some modern things that we'll probably talk about, there's options. And My Life in Gaming, which, I mean, I saw those guys at MGC, they had mentioned in their awesome tutorials, and when they cover all these devices, and they'll cover the Everdrives and they'll cover the newer handhelds and things, they mention all the different options and what their recommended settings are, which is pretty cool because those settings are overwhelming. So pretty cool though. All right, Tristan, where were you at now?
Where did I get cut off? What was the last thing that you guys heard?
We heard blankness.
I think we're talking about the Framemeister.
Yeah,
You're talking about the Framemeister.
You were talking about your
Okay, yeah.
retro tank.
Yeah, so
Tank, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, retro tank, and I've got all these SCART cables, so like I've got pure RGB coming out of the consoles, and I mean it is the best way to play old consoles on a new television, but it's not the way that we used to play it. It's a function. It's not it's not pure to us, because that's not how we grew up playing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Man, I will say though, like even young adult Jeff would be all about playing it the old school way. I've since evolved to like playing it with what's available when I move, and then even crazier is like I had Wizard modify one of my handhelds, because I got a Nomad and an Express, both modded with LED on it, and then I use an Everdrive on it, and I can play both perfectly, and I can play them in a damn airport. Like,
yeah.
However, now we've had these newer devices come out that we'll talk about, such as Steam Decks and Analogue Pockets, and all of these things that offer FPGA, or basically a giant high-end PC in your hand. And then, of course, your Nintendo Switches that are portable as well. And then you add on to it stuff like Xbox Game Pass that can be streamed decently over a network. And it's like, I'm almost to the point where I'm seeing I saw there's a Team SCART in the chat. But like, that's a lot of work, man.
Well, Video Game Doc, the guy who actually posted about the tank and the Team SCART, he's got the most impressive setup I have ever seen. It's meticulous.
Schematics.
He needs to. Video Game Doc, please post that in our Discord for Video Game Bullshit.
Yeah, dude, post those schematics. It is bananas.
Schematics are insane.
I would love to see that, because that's ridiculous. I'll bring it up next week on the screen if I still have access to a computer, which I should next week. Or Tristan can if he's taking over the stream. But we'll show it off, because it sounds interesting. And the thing is that I feel like I went into this portable world of Steam Deck is really fun. I'm a tinkerer as well, but right now I'm tinkering with the back end, kind of like I did with the Raspberry Pi, because I got one of those Raspberry Pis, an NES cartridge with 4 USBs on it back in the day. But I like tinkering with the menu systems and making sure all the art looks cool and doing all that. And that's what I've been doing with my Steam Deck. On top of it, just like Tristan, I write books, couple. And because Steam is another April Fool's joke sized conquering thing to do a book on, I decided to tackle that with my Switch series. Is tackling.
Oh, that's sick, dude. That's sick.
And so I have been using the deck as a baseline, so we can do like a Steam Deck based hidden indie gems book. That'll be something of like supporting indie developers with really cool ass games, and probably going to focus on stuff that doesn't have physical releases too. Because if it has a physical release, it's pretty known at that point, even if it's still generally indie. But maybe I'll sort it into sections, and I'll do some budgets. So I've been doing that as well. As I'm sorting, I'm using the Steam's categorizing. So I'm actually using it for the hobby of writing and creating on top of playing, and it's been a really interesting infinite rabbit hole. It's as crazy as the Commodore 64 library, Steam. It's nuts.
Crazy.
It's
all right.
nuts.
I'm gonna say one more thing before we turn it over to Megazord.
Yes.
Zordon. So so I've got a few arcade cabinets in my game room. I've got a Neo Geo MVS that I have a Terra Onion SD, like the multi-cart for the MVS.
But you have the
that
SD
thing
version. You use an SD card now?
Yeah, it's the SD
Oh,
version. It's the Pro.
Because I have the
Um,
classic 161 and 1, the yellow one. I have
yeah.
that still.
Yep, I've got that crazy Terra Onion one with
That's
the
cool.
SD card, and
That's cool.
yeah, it's got everything on it. But that saves me so much money, A, and size or space, B. Like those things are not cheap and they're not small, so it's kind of a must. And then I actually just recently got a Sega Astro City Candy Cab, and I'm tinkering around with a it's called a Mistercade,
Huh.
which loads FPGA cores of JAMA boards. Haven't got that up and running yet, but that's next. All right, Zord,
Yeah, but
off to you.
you know what's crazy
Oh,
though
no,
is
go ahead, dude.
um before I got my deck, before I got the Analogue Pocket, like a couple years before, because it feels like we're like evolving every year with these damn handheld things. I got this
Yeah, yeah.
Nintendo Switch Lite size system that it's probably AliExpress or China or eBay China or whatever the hell. Like I just got it online. And I learned about it through John Lester's channel.
Mm.
But the cool thing is that like there was somebody he knew who worked on the back end, so he gave me the back end to it to load. But the games can be played in tape mode. So you can play the original
Yeah.
arcades in tape mode and flip it sideways, and you can use the controls and play them how they're supposed to. Play Donkey Kong how it's supposed to. That system, I don't know where the console is right now, and I've just packed up my house, and don't
Talking
recall
about the
seeing it.
Evercade?
It is not the Evercade.
Oh, not the
No,
Evercade.
it's like
Okay.
It's like the Astro City one because it was a shooter one, right?
It is
I think it was
not
like
an
purple.
arcade machine. It's a handheld, and it looks
It's
just like it's the molding of a Nintendo Switch Lite.
Yeah, he
okay,
said that
okay,
it's
okay,
like
yeah, yeah. Okay,
AliExpress.
Yeah, it's
okay,
like,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was like, I assume because they released a version that looked like a Game Boy, then they released the Nintendo Switch version, and that's the one I
Mm.
really thought was cool. The thumbstick sucked, but then I bought some Nintendo Switch thumbstick covers to go over it, and it was perfect. But like I don't remember the damn name of it because it's been like 2 years since I've touched it because the damn
Yeah.
Steam Deck and now Analog Pocket and things that do it better have come out. And it's like,
Hmm.
but I had it like with everything on it, like all my classic arcades were on it, which is so I need to find it just because like I'm not gonna put all that on like a deck. The deck's gonna be for Steam stuff, like and maybe some like PS3 or some PS2 stuff or something. Like if you ever throw a PS2 game at me or something, I'll have to put it on there. But yeah, I'm gonna have to find out while Megazord does his story. See if I can find the name of that thing. Freaking Megazord. Let's go, Megazord. Alpha 9. No.
Yeah, that's right. And so I'll tell you like how this got started. So Warren knows very well. I have been obsessed with trying to see how many consoles I can actually get connected under power sources and also TV. The original one, as he remembers, was I think it was what it was like 28. I think I did, and then I did 36, and now the one I have now is 42. So my record right now is 42 consoles that are all connected together. They all automatically function over as switchboards, and they all power on when I
Man.
need to. So like I don't have to. That's the biggest thing we have. You have so many consoles, and you don't know what to do with them. So you just try to kind of figure out. So I used to work at a place a long time ago in the '90s. So beforehand, I didn't care. I just would just connect anything like a coax, whatever, the regular audio video cords.
Yeah.
And my friend and me over a summer, he hired me on because he just wanted me to hang out with me, and it was a place called Ultimate Electronics. If you remember the name of this place, Ultimate Electronics basically was pimp my ride for TV and audio equipment.
Damn.
So these rich people would come in and they would take all their money and they would just pick whatever the hell they wanted, and then they would say, "All right, I want it in this big mansion, and I need you guys to figure out how to set this thing up." And so we would have to like on the fly go to these people's houses and figure out what's going on. And not only did we do like rich people, but we also did like celebrities. I did Dave Mustang's house. I did Larry
Hello,
Fitzgerald's
Lee.
house from the Cardinals. I did. I mean, I never saw them. They were just like like their agents and stuff that are there. Just here, do this, blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah.
But they would come in and they would just walk around and they would like, I want these speakers and I want this TV and I want this one. I want to put this little TV in the bathroom. I want to put this TV in the aquarium and like all this weird
That's
stuff.
crazy.
And we just had to accept it and do it. And that's where I learned how to connect all kinds of things up. I did my own speakers here, and all the TV things. So I had a knowledge of it. So if you think about 3 eras, it's CRT, right? For video game wise.
Yes.
And then you have the plasma, which was kind of in the middle, where you could still hook up like audio video. You can hook up the component cables. You can hook up HDMI. And now we're in the era of HDMI, which is like basically 1 and 2. So I have all generations here. I originally had a plasma at the other house. The plasma was awesome until it finally died, and then I got scared. I'm like, what am I supposed to do when the plasma's dead? I don't know what. I can't get another one. They're really old TVs. So now companies are on Amazon are making like HDMI cords specifically for them. You got to power them through USB, but the picture looks absolutely fabulous. And I'm not saying like it's not like a Tink or anything like that, but it's decent enough to where you can play, and there's no lag or any of those type of things like that. So that's where the session started. I started doing 28. I'm like, okay, I did 28.
Well, like I kind of see like when you power up your systems, like from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when they turn on the Christmas lights and they have to do the nuclear power, like to keep the power running in the town. Oh, that's cool. Continue, man.
Well, I didn't actually power all. So like one side will be like the left side, one power course will be the middle, and then one will be the right side. And then I have switchboards between them, and I actually mark, in the things like which ones are which. And then I found out they had automatic switchboards, which are awesome. So then I just did automatic ones. So when I turn it on, wherever I power on, it will automatically switch over and go to that game console. And it's awesome. But setting it up is like a nightmare because if you screw up like one thing on there, then you're going to be sitting around for like at least a few hours trying to figure out what connections go to where. And so I always have to write it down like a map, kind of like Jeff's schematics. And I have to kind of like write it out and then just do it and just kind of go from there. And then like now at this house, this one over here is the current gen. Over there in the corner is CRT, and then I have a light gun in the back, and then the other one over here is kind of like my other variant, which is like a plasma version of it, but it's a LCD TV.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a plasma setup. So that's how I do all generations because some systems don't have that, like Sega, for example. They don't have HDMI cords, so you kind of have to connect it to an old CRT.
Yeah.
So I just kind of go as it updates.
It's very interesting too, like how we play modern versus retro versus if you emulate, if you don't emulate, if you try to do stuff, and like it's based on situation and convenience. Like, I mean, I like the fact that you're trying to do it as natively as possible. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just
and I think also too is the one thing that people don't realize is the new mini classic consoles, the PlayStation, Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. You can mod all those with Hack Chi. And so you can hack Chi them, and you can actually put on there like your arcade emulators and all these different consoles and systems on there. Like for my kids, I had the Sega Genesis one, and they didn't have the games that they wanted on there, so I basically just hack cheated it, filled up the game console with it, and it plays just like it looks like it came out of the box like it. It has all the box arts and all the data for them and everything, and it's like you just bought it. So I do it with them, but technically I own all those games anyway that I put on there, so. It's nothing like anything crazy like that, but it's for them. It's great because they can just turn it on and play whatever games they want.
Well, why would you need to nowadays when you have a what's that console called that you loaded everything onto?
You mean the Copier 2000? Yes, the PolyMega.
The
I love it.
Unobtainium?
PolyMega is my favorite.
Yeah,
PolyMega.
PolyMega is a game changer to me because not only does it like have like, and I know we talked about this last time, but what I like about it the most is that it has a database. It explains about games for it. It gives you information about it. You can do patches. You can do homebrew hacks on it. You can do upgrades. So like I always laugh like when I see a new hack come out for something, I can literally just take my SD card, copy it on there, pop it in there, and it plays immediately. So that's my current current gen version of playing retro is the PolyMega. I showed it off to a friend this weekend, and he's never seen it before, and it like basically blew his mind. He's like, I want to get one of these immediately. It just sucks that it's so expensive. If it was, I feel like if it's between $400 $500, I think it would be an easy entry for all those sets. But for $800, you got to really like invest into it. Especially now they have the new N64 and they're possibly having light guns. You're looking at probably about $1,200 to get all those modules and things for it. But is it worth it? Absolutely. If you have the money for it, I would house just getting it.
Yeah, like that price point buy-in, like I'm not interested currently, but once I'm settled, after I'm done moving, which I'm only really gonna be moving one more time after, like I'll be settling down. Maybe then I jump down the PolyMega bandwagon and just get one setup. But because the thing is, it sounds awesome. It's just that right now, as Tristan said, unattainium, which leads the prices to even be a little higher than MSRP even right now. Yeah, you can't get them, and
also for you too is like the other good benefit to it is that they have no loading times, like Neo Geo CD, for example.
Oh yeah,
you pop it in, it's boom, boom, boom. It's nothing. It goes right to the game. No load times at all.
I actually went down a Neo Geo MVS or AES rabbit hole where there's a guy in the community for Neo Geo that was doing CD conversions to AES and MVS so you could play them on cartridge. So I had a bunch.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I crossed swords too on cartridge and stuff.
Very cool.
Which I still have, but yeah, I have all of those craziness ones because like there's only a few exclusives for CD, so I was like, I wanted to be able to play it without the stupid loading. So I was trying to find where that damn handheld that I have is, and I can't find the damn thing. I went 5 years back on Gamster's channel. It's something around the era of the Odroid Go Advance. It's around there, but it's not an Odroid. It's not an Odroid though.
Oh gosh.
But yes.
Now, another benefit for you for that PolyMega is that, let's say, for example, like I could technically go to a game store, buy a really rare game, download it on the PolyMega, and I can literally just take it right back if I wanted to. That's also the benefit of it too, is that you don't have to keep the game. You can put it on your drive and you're set for life.
Couldn't you also just sideload a ROM on a card? SD card?
I don't know you can sideload it on it yet. I know that some people are still trying to figure it out, and they haven't figured out how to hack it yet. But the only thing I know that you can put on there is the translation. So if you got like anything from overseas, you can do the translations. You can do patches, or you can do, say for example, like I got Super Metroid and I want to play like a homebrew version of a different game. You can throw those on there and they'll play.
Does it recognize an Everdrive?
No. I've tried ROMs on it. I've tried like say for example, like I tried Sweet Home on it. It didn't work. It freezes up. But what's beneficial about this machine too is that it also authenticates. So like if someone tries to sell you let's say for example you have Hagane and you put it in there and it doesn't work, you'll know that it's absolutely a fake.
So it won't.
So it actually tracks the original ROM chip. No.
It won't play fake. So you couldn't play a John Miller created reproduction of like Final Fantasy VII on NES then?
No, and like for example, like your black box game, I tried that on there and it wouldn't work on that either.
So it doesn't do map.
They have something in there that's blocking certain ROM sets, I think.
Mapper
and it's
30.
they only do like original ROM sets, I think.
See, so for me, I'm not interested because I have over 300 NES homebrew games, so a giant swath of my collection that I still have wouldn't even be playable on the PolyMega. Like that, it plays all on my NES, my original NES, and on
I found ways around it though. I found some ways around it. As long as the ROM says a certain thing that from the original hardware, it works. But if you try something that's not original, then what will happen is that you'll bring it up and it'll freeze. I did Super Game Boy. I just wanted to see if Super Game Boy would work on it. And it'll bring up the Super Game Boy portion of it, but when it tries to load up the game, it freezes because it can't read the ROM.
Yeah, see, that's just very interesting to me because, like, Mapper 30 was on the original NES. It just wasn't used. So it's what NES makers using is Mapper 30. But the thing is, Black Box Challenge, Sly Dog Studios did this cross bank switching thing that he does for the graphics. That is a way to get more graphical power out of it. But he programmed it on original hardware, and he didn't use NES Maker. He created the game. Wow. Looks like Coffin went away this time. Yeah. It's interesting.
Weird.
Looking great today, guys. But yeah, so that's an interesting thing though, is that like Black Box Challenge was Mapper 30, but wasn't created like in NES Maker. So, I mean, PolyMega just doesn't sound right to me. That being said, there you go, Coffin's back. But the thing is that even newer NES emulators do not emulate Black Box Challenge correctly. It plays well in an AVS and in an original NES. Doesn't play well in a lot of clones. So PolyMega might just be more of a clone piece with the FPGA or whatever, but like it's not perfectly emulating the NES chip then. That's just how it is. But Black Box Challenge is a thing. It's a crazy ass game. It was programmed from ground up by a crazy programmer. That's awesome. You back, Coffin?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
All right, cool. Yeah.
Everybody's back.
Yeah, I was talking about the Black Box Challenge stuff.
Well, it was weird. It did say on stream. It just popped out. It said stream, and then it knocked me out. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's called the internet, man. 2023.
Yeah. Black Box Challenge, dude, I still need to play that game. Like, it's such a cool concept, and I wish we could like port it to like a modern console.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. But complications.
Cool.
It would be awesome.
Complications on multiple avenues just because of things. But it's thing is, the game's awesome. Developer's cool. Super talented. And very appreciative that I was able to preserve that game a couple times, because I was able to do a second print run as well, which all my stuff went to charity for, which I was able to support a game charity, which was really cool. That was a recommendation of Infinite NES Lives and Sly Dog Studios that I donated Infinite Sly Dog's portions to, and my portions to that one, just to support it, because I made it for fans. They wanted another copy. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But,
and then I think I've mentioned this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, dude.
No, go ahead.
My bad. I was gonna say, I think I've mentioned this before, but that's actually how Jeff and I met initially. I reached out to him because I wanted a copy of Black Box Challenge, and he's like, "Yeah, I got one. Just send me whatever." And then we got to talking about like how he does books and how I'm doing a book, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, Black Box Challenge is a weird one because when I did the second print run, I did 200 copies. But I only put up like 100 on the Kickstarter, and there was so much drama on Twitter at the time, and I was like, well, I'm just not going to put the rest up for now. So I have a few copies, and I'll take a couple copies to conventions, and people that know, they're like, oh, I haven't gotten a copy yet. Or if somebody hits me up online, I'm like, yeah, I got a couple copies. I'm down to like 20 maybe now. And I'm not going to make it again because if the developer wants me to, or is okay with me doing it, and I get it in writing, and he goes online this time and does a video, then I will. Because the last time he said it was cool, and then there was a bunch of drama stuff, and I was like, dude, I got the email that says, go ahead. If you do it to charity. And I was like, cool. And then there was a bunch of drama. So I was like, I don't like the drama stuff. Like, I did it to benefit everyone. And so the thing is that I would do it, and I would port it too. But it's just, I'm not looking to do anything that's going to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, it's video games, guys. Like,
not much you can do about that sometimes.
Yeah, it's video games. It's cool. But yeah, so to me though, Coffin, it not being able to recognize and those type of nuances, like, I'll just play it in my NES, and I'm cool with that. It doesn't, and it's until the price point comes down, then it's worth tinkering and messing with. But at close to $1,000,
There's one more
to
thing
do it
too.
all,
You got AVS though too. The AVS will play anything.
yeah, I have
And
the AVS.
that's the other one I use, especially for my Nintendo games. So AVS is like my favorite for it because I can play any version game on there, which I love. And the great, I can't afford an analog because the analogs are so expensive. But the AVS is like kind of in the middle, and I love the 720p. It does not bother me one bit, and it looks amazing on a flat screen.
I do have the clear AVS that came in the wooden box.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's
I wish
what's
I had
sitting
those
on
cool
my
ones.
shelf. That's what's
He's
sitting,
got that. I don't.
That's one sitting under my TV.
Did you get the controller with it?
I did,
It's so gross looking.
and I got the entire clear game set.
Yeah,
Yep.
I did not get the entire clear game set. I did buy. I think I bought just Assimilate and a Winner's U are the only two that I got from that one. I just got two of them, and then I think I bought non-clear power coloring because I just thought that was ridiculous. But the thing is that NES Homebrew, it started off, there's a lot of proofs of concept, a lot of demos, a lot of people just figuring things out to show that they could do stuff. But since has transitioned and morphed into something that has more games, legit games, and more than the licensed NES library now for Homebrew. And it's teams of people, communities of people making stuff that rivals what was originally released. Because there are a lot of games originally released for the NES that weren't that great. So the thing is that like there's some really great stuff being released, and if Bite Off 3 and the last Nest Dev compo or anything to show what we're in store for in the future, like they were both pretty damn impressive. And there were at least about 4 or 5 concepts that I saw that I had never seen on an NES before, and I was like I don't know if you're tracking these competitions, but like
I'm not. No.
One of the games is a platform puzzler, and your character is blown apart, and you control the head, the body, and the legs, and you put them all together, and you can put the head and the legs together, and you can jump and get under small things, or you can put the head and the body together, and like you can roll the head, and you can use that to do puzzles and solve puzzles with an exploded person. Like
Awesome.
Crazy
It's
stuff.
like Decap Attack.
Like Decap Attack, except for like you're exploded into pieces, and it doesn't have that crazy Decap Attack style momentum that you have to get used to, which is the same as Psycho Fox and Kid Cool. It's the same programmers. Like, crazy. Yeah, we did a quadrilogy because there's 4 because Decap Attack.
Quadrilogy. Love it.
Yes. We did that for bullshit homework back in the day. I think it was season 3 or 4. The other one is the Mega Drive. Decap Attack is a magical hat game, and it's different. And so there's 4 games that are all created by the same programmers, and they all have that crazy momentum. They're not bad once you get used to the mechanics. They're fun. Decap Attack's probably the most polished because you get a life bar, which you don't get in the others. Yeah, I can go down rabbit holes with all that shit. But yeah, so to me though, Coffin, your PolyMega thing, price comes down to something that's affordable. It's cool. Not dissimilar though to the Analogue Pocket and all of its little cartridge extensions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, love it.
Now the fact is the Analogue Pocket is like wide open hacked. So you can pretty much load whatever the hell you want on it. And I mean, you don't even need an Everdrive, but I have an Everdrive. I think I just have the Game Boy version, Game Boy Color version in mind. But it's wide open, so you can pretty much put anything on it. But I have all the cartridge pieces, so I can play my Game Gear and all that stuff. And I got the dock.
I can't wait for the Turbo Graphics 16
links
adapter needs to come out.
Is the Turbo one? Do you know, Tristan? Is the Turbo one going to support Super Graphics?
I think they said yes. I think they said. Oh wait, well, yeah, I think they said yes.
I think it was everything.
I gotta look that up. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Well, because it's FPGA emulation, so in theory it should. It's just will it
Yeah.
read the extra? So I think there might be like one extra like chip line or whatever you call them, the little metal bars. There might be one extra piece on it for that cartridge. So because I would love to then have a copy of Dai Nakamura and get the Darius plus
Sure.
Alpha. One thing that I thought was interesting, because we mentioned My Life in Gaming. I think it was My Life in Gaming that covered it. They covered the newest Everdrive Turbo 1, and I got the original Turbo Everdrive, but there's been a second revision. Now the Pro's out, and they had mentioned that with the super graphics games, there's no way to turn off the super graphics mode. So you can't play the enhanced games non-enhanced if you wanted to. Like, you just can only play it enhanced. So that's an interesting omission. Crixes, who does the Everdrives, though, he constantly is updating stuff, and awesome, super talented guy. I love his motivation and his quality, and glad he's been selling them directly on his website and not just on third parties like he used to back in the day, because that was frustrating.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It really was.
But Stone Age Gamer did some amazing physicals of some of those releases. I love some of those stuff. That's some of my favorites for Stone Age Gamer.
So I just looked it up, and it says, yeah, $99.99 pre-order, now coming 2023 TurboGrafx 6.
TurboGrafx falling asleep, Coffin.
Oh no,
Man.
those.
You fell asleep on us, Tristan. It
What?
cut you off.
Not again.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
You said, oh yeah, you're back, but it froze.
Gosh damn it.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
You explain what they said on there.
I think it's that you're pushing out too much data to the internet.
I swear. Okay, so yeah, TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, and SuperGrafx adapter.
Cool. That's awesome. To me, that makes it worth getting the adapter, and I have a pretty hefty Turbo collection, so that's really cool.
Yep.
My one thing is that I don't have a great way, and that's why the Pro was kind of interesting, but I do have the other SD3 system, is doing the CD emulation versus playing the CD player because of the disc rot / speed issues / it's worth finding an emulation version for some of the CD games. So yeah, I've been trying to figure out and find a good way to do it. But if the Pro works CD games and I can do it in a Turbo Express, that's interesting. Portable Turbo CD. That would be a first. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I just don't know. So Coffin, what else do you got in the Megazord realm?
Around here, I have a hidden arcade, like basically a MAME, and I don't know if you remember the Dreamcade. It's like combined together as one piece over here.
Yes.
I also have like I know a lot of people are against it, but I also have a lot of arcade one-ups, especially for my kids.
I was gonna
I know
ask.
they're not full-size arcades, but they're good for my kids. You know, they're
Dude,
smaller
your kids
size.
freaking love them. Like, they're so popular with, like, your kids and their friends.
Yeah.
Well, and
We had
the
one
thing
kid
is,
come over here for a birthday party, wouldn't leave.
It's not a bad idea because you can leave
No, it's
them
not.
unmonitored and they can just mess around. If they bust something up, it's a arcade one-up.
Yeah.
That's perfect, man.
And you can mod them too. I mean, there's so many different variations of modding for them right now. You know, even if you wanted to, like, you know, they have certain button setups. You can also, like, I did the Mortal Kombat 2 one. I upgraded because, of course, the controllers were horrible. So I upgraded them to the best joysticks and buttons I can get for them that were working at the time, and, you know, new springs and things like that to make it like authentic to arcade. So there's a lot of enthusiasts, especially in like a lot of the arcade one-up groups, just to see some of the stuff they make. There's one dude that made like a fridge inside of his arcade one-up underneath it, like the little thing, like he just set it on there. And it looks ridiculous, but it actually is awesome. It's like pretty cool. So they do some fun mods for it, and then you can make it anything you want. Like, I was talking to him, he has a Final Fight arcade one up, and he was talking about making like a Sega Genesis version of it, you know, where he had all the Sega games and beat 'em ups and stuff on them.
I think that'd be cool, and I know my wife was wanting me to get the Mortal Kombat 2 one since we got rid of our Mortal Kombat 2, but not just because it has Mortal Kombat 2, but I think the Legends Edition or the newest version has Tubin on it too. Tubin. So she wants
nice.
all of that stuff. So I think it's out of stock now, unfortunately, but like we weren't going to buy it and then have to move. So it was the one piece, but I'm going to have to find something awesome. Outside of that, she did tell me from an MGC story that I couldn't come home unless I brought her back a Foo Fighters pinball machine. And
oh, geez, dude, that thing was so nice. Oh my gosh.
She let me in the house without it, which is surprising.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I'm allowed in the house without it, but I think that might have to be one of the retirement presents to myself is the Foo Fighters pinball.
Yeah, for real.
That's
dude,
cool,
those things are pricey, but there's a reason for it.
What you should do is for a prank, you should wait for a Christmas, get a tiny version of the Foo Fighters pinball machine, and then surprise her with the big one later as like a final present.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. That's a good idea. So the thing is like, for me, how I prefer to play right now is if you're gonna give me a retro game assignment, I'm probably going to play it FPGA on the Analogue Pocket right now. I mean, I'm moving too, but that's how I would do it anyways. If it's gonna be modern, and I'll play it on Switch if it's a Switch game, or I'll put it on the Steam Deck if it's more modern. Something in between, it depends. So I've been playing like Retro Game Challenge on Steam Deck because it's pretty damn good, and you press an R button to switch between the screens. Works real well.
Cool.
Works real well. And then, so that's going to be the way that I'm currently playing. It's very convenient. I might just stick with that going forward. Who knows? Except for indie games. So if I'm going to get somebody's independently created Genesis game, I'm going to have to bust out the original Genesis, probably my Nomad, to play it. Mm-hmm. Thing that sucks, though, is a lot of the homebrew creators, indie creators, don't test with portables in mind. So I remember FX Unit Yuki for Genesis doesn't work on a Nomad because they never tested it. They didn't realize it didn't work until I told them that it didn't work.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's the one. That's the version I got.
Yeah, and to me, I actually like the controls better on the Sega Genesis version than I do on the Turbo version. Because the Turbo version's on a CD and there's like a little tiny loading lag that you can feel for the sound, and it's better on cartridge. I really want them to port that to modern so we can have fun with it, do a physical. That'd be amazing.
That'd be really cool.
Jet Switch. But yeah, that's kind of like for me the new ways to play modern. I know Tristan, you had mentioned some stuff in here. So essentially, we talked about almost everything. The Odin Pro we didn't talk about. I have one. But it's like an Android-based portable device. So to me, once I got the Steam Deck, it replaced my Odin Pro. I don't know, Coffin, if you played an Odin Pro.
I have not.
No. I think Tristan froze on us for a second here again.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so for me, like I had gotten it in, and then right after that, the Steam Deck came in. So
did you ever try that PlayStation one that connects to the phones, or like the Xbox one?
You talking about the little controllers?
Yeah.
No, I seen it. I seen the PlayStation one.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It looks so.
Yeah.
Is it remoting in? That's what I'm saying. Like I know, like Game Pass can go anywhere, but like for PlayStation, are you remoting into your console, or can you take it on the go? That's like I was a little confused.
It's just streaming.
Yeah.
I think it's just streaming, and to me, like, so to run Xbox Game Pass on a Steam Deck, all it's doing is you set up some command line prompts within the Steam Deck emulation where you can add any game to it ever. You can add exe executable files to it, but you do it so it brings up a Chrome browser with certain settings in full screen onto the web page, and then you literally click it and it loads it. full screen on the deck, and the settings basically set the resolution to a Steam Deck resolution, so you can play Game Pass on it. There's as much lag as there is your internet, so Tristan's would probably be running with hamster wheels on it, 'cause it's pushing faster than the Steam Deck can read.
Handles.
Gerbils.
The gerbils. But the thing is, though, it really does depend. So I was able to play like Shredder's Revenge on it, no problem on Game Pass. I don't even have an Xbox hooked up. I have an original Xbox One, and that's the last one that I bought. But I have Game Pass because I can play it streaming. I was streaming on my Odin Pro first, though. But then once Steam Deck came out, my Odin Pro is in a case collecting dust. Not really, because it's protected. That's what I was talking about when you froze last time, was the Odin Pro, because we hadn't talked about that.
Yeah. I've got a good question for Coffin, and it actually ties into some news that he can elaborate on.
Ooh, news.
So hey, what's your favorite way to play an old Final Fantasy game? How would you play it on the PS4, Coffin?
Yeah, I play it on a PS4 because the PS4 version is about $600 on eBay, and to get a software copy of that is not going to happen. So if I had to make a choice of it, I would have to buy it digitally, which is against all rights and privileges of what I do, because I don't believe in digital.
Was he not able to pre-order it?
No.
Neither was
I.
I was trying to surprise Amara with a PS4 copy. So the first release of it got sold out immediately. But then before the release, they opened it up again. And I was waiting in line for like 10 minutes. And it was just hanging around. And I guess they didn't do a limit on them. So the first person got all of them. And then when you went on there, it kept knocking out of the cart. So then I tried to get a Switch version of it. That also did the same thing. And then they had a collector's edition up. I did that one, and then I was waiting for 20 minutes, and it did the same thing again. Because Square decided.
I got my Switch one in the first round but I did not get the regular because it was already sold out. But I just saw it was sold out. I went to the collector's edition, paid the ridiculous amount for it. They shipped it separately, so the game is separate from the collector's edition. So my collector's edition stayed sealed.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's interesting.
I know that was that
nowadays.
And then they did a lenticular O-sleeve slipcover with the characters that went over it, which is pretty cool. Very interesting that it's like plasticky, and flimsy, but like cool though that it's lenticular. Gives us ideas.
Yeah, sure.
They also did like the vinyl, and then they had like the actual pixel characters. Like you actually got the characters in like a pixelized form that you can display.
Yeah. Well, I have all of those. It's just sealed. And my collector's edition is the same as the PlayStation 4 collector's edition. They just created one collector's edition. They just put the game separately. So
Well,
I have that.
Well, my irritation is that I played all Final Fantasy games, to be honest with you, except for like Nintendo from back in the day. Everything's on PlayStation. So even if I got myself a copy of it, I would want to get it for PlayStation. But what happened was, PlayAsia basically put out an email saying, "Hey, all the PS4 copies got canceled." So then all the news groups got together and was like, "Oh, they're not doing PS4 copies. Those ones are not going to be there." And of course, all the scalpers target the PS4 copies, and people were buying them. No joke. I was showing Ibarra. They were literally buying them between $500 to $600. Like no joke. Just to have the U.S. copy of the Pixel Remaster.
Just for that ESRB.
Yep.
That is
they think it's going to be the next little Samson.
That is an interesting thing when we're talking about ESRB. Kind of feel like that's an ugly American collector vibe.
Kind of is, isn't it?
It kind of is because, like, Barry does the same thing. You know, he's part of Premium, and he's on Premium Playcast that I was recording with him for years. Eventually we'll record another episode. I don't know when. But he goes and upgrades the ESRB if they re-release it. I'm like, dude, Switch is region free, and there's more interesting and cool releases in Europe and Japan sometimes than we get in the US. So I have a whole freaking smorgasbord on my Switch collection. So even when Ys 8, before they did the re-release, I just bought the European version because it's fine, and it was MSRP $60 or whatever. So I was 100% cool with that.
I did Ninja Gaiden. The Ninja Gaiden collection never came to the States. And I basically, because I'm a big Ninja Gaiden fan,
Yeah.
I ported it from PlayAsia. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna get it there. And the same thing with the Final Fantasy, the other
Sure.
Final Fantasy games. They had like 7 and 8.
9,
Yeah.
and 12. Yeah, they all are there, and it's pretty cool. And I mean, what else was there? Okami,
Yeah.
Onimusha.
The beat 'em up collection, the beat 'em up collection from Capcom was like that too.
Yeah, the Belt Action collection.
Yep, Belt Action collection. Yep.
There were some Kunio games that were released before, and then they got ported. But yeah, no, the Switch is like I always argue that the Switch covers all generations of gaming, and it has like a little bit of something for everybody, and it's a really fun like system to where if that's the only system that I would collect, I think I would be able to be cool with that because it literally covers every generation. I could play a little bit of everything.
The thing I have with the Pixel Remaster is that this is how funny it is. I have to import it from Japan to get it to the States to me. And what's even funny on PlayAsia, if you look at the bottom of the remarks on the remaster, Pixel Remaster, it says, we don't know if we're going to get all these copies when you pre-order it. So technically, you could be waiting like limited run for like a year for them to get a second copy of the game to ship it to you.
Yeah.
No shots fired. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, I have my ESRB Switch copy. It'll be in storage for 3 years, and then I'll get to enjoy it after. No, all of my games I open because I only buy stuff I play now, and I am only taking the cartridges with me to Hawaii, and then once I get to Hawaii, whatever I get there, I will start, a separate Hawaii collection or something. Just to see what happens.
It's just wild that it's like if it was like only released in Japan, I get that. I can get that from PlayAsia, no problem. But this should be a U.S. release. Like this should have been sold in every store, and it would have sold like crazy. But I feel like now lately, and I've been telling a bar about this, I feel like companies are scared to make physical copies of games anymore. Like they're just afraid they're going to be sitting in the stores and not selling. And even like to find new games right now, I literally have to run around to 3 or 4 stores to see where someone has a new copy of it.
No, I don't get shit out here. Like I'm in a pretty big city, and I went to 2 different GameStops because I found as I'm moving 2 GameStop gift cards. So I'm like, oh, I got like $80 or $100. Like I'm gonna go buy Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Nobody has it. Like they don't have a single copy. And I'm like, okay, like I can't even go buy a game. And they're like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. They didn't even have like we'll call another store. Like it was more like they're just, physical is pretty much on the downward slope.
It is pretty telling.
And
I have an inside remark for that too for GameStop, by the way. I know someone that works there, and they told me the corporate agenda. They said that they will only satisfy pre-orders. So if you don't pre-order the game, they will not send them to their stores unless it's like a very popular game, like for example, like Zelda and them. Everything else they won't send. If you don't pre-order it, they're not going to send it to the store.
And you can tell that, and that's also going to affect how many copies are being made. And not to mention, we're now in the year 2023, and the Switch is in its, it's in its twilight of what people consider a normal console life cycle. I'm using the quotation fingers for the podcast because, for those that are on the audio, because essentially we don't know if Nintendo's going to upgrade. They're literally releasing a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch console bundle, so they're not looking to phase it out until at least, they're not going to announce anything new if they're going to until at least the fall or something, because they're not going to have people buy a console now and then next week say they're doing a Switch 2. That'll piss everyone off. Yeah. So, I mean, the other piece is though, and I mentioned it on the previous, on the Playcast back in the year, and I mentioned it every year when we do predictions. I don't feel like Nintendo is going to create another system at this point. I feel like they're going to do this. They're going to do the way of the iPhone. They're going to upgrade the internals, and they're going to allow everything to be
I hope not.
compatible, and the Switch is going to go on forever.
I hope not.
Here's the thing.
But
Is the Switch a handheld? Technically, it is. And what
Sure.
did they
Yeah.
do?
No. I
How?
don't disagree with you at all.
But
I think you're absolutely right. I just hope you're wrong.
I
I
mean,
hope
because
you're wrong.
I just know Nintendo's track record when it comes to their successful handhelds. What did they do with the Game Boy, which had a very long life cycle?
They just kept changing colors.
They created the Game Boy Color, and they consider that the same as the Game Boy, even on the Switch Online. So they're like, if they do a Switch 2 Pro, whatever, it'll use proprietary games, new 3DS, Nightmare, freaking but
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
but
It's gonna splinter or whatever the crap they call it, fracture the user base.
well, it won't fracture the user base as long as it still can play or in a inferior capacity, and as long as it plays all the old stuff. I mean, because the thing is with iPhones and Android phones, eventually the old tech stops working. So, like, if they continue to do that route and continue to upgrade, because the thing is that the cartridges that the Switch used could be used and upgraded as tech becomes cheaper, can be upgraded infinitely.
You hope so.
What I would love is that they would phase it out, so as a Nintendo Switch games publisher, the minimum requirements will go down and we could do a lot more cooler games. Because right now, the biggest complexity of publishing for Switch is that freaking buy-in on the cartridges, because it's expensive as shit, and that makes it tough. Because if the minimums were what they can do in Japan and Asia, like, we could be going like with some really fun stuff that we could even take chances with on some really niche titles that right now, because the stuff that you're seeing, we're talking, they're not putting Final Fantasy Picture Remaster in stores. That's crazy. We're talking, we want to support some indie developers at a small level, and we can't do that. Like, we would. Like, give us Picture Remaster, we'll put it in stores. Like,
no kidding, right?
Like, they're crazy. But I do feel like physical's on the downward spiral. A company like us that's doing cool hipster artist shit, we'll be fine. But like, I feel like things are transitioning. And over the last year, Steam Deck, I think, helped really show what gamers want. And it's going to be very interesting.
A powerful, versatile handheld that can, function as a set-top console. I mean, nowadays they're so powerful that they can do it. There's no reason that they can't. So yeah, you're absolutely right that there's no reason for Nintendo to make just a traditional console anymore that you can't take with you. Why would they? That's they would be doubling their efforts at that point.
Yeah. Well,
Nintendo was smart. I think honestly, like, Nintendo was smart because they took, for example, like, I think they looked at how the Vita had such an underground following, and that's where the Switch came from. Because you had the Wii U, and it was like a horrible failure. But what was happening at that same time? Vita collecting was huge. Even that Vita didn't sell well, there was a lot of like niche people that were working into getting Vita collections. And I think they saw how people got excited for that, and they made the Switch based on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have analysts at Nintendo that look into every marketing capacity, but also they do the Nintendo thing. So, if anything, if they don't do an iterative update of the Switch, they're going to create something that's going to be like, we can't even comprehend, that looks ridiculous. And it's either,
I know, right? Yeah,
and it'll go the way of the Virtual Boy, or it'll go the way of the Wii and be the biggest thing ever.
That's the thing that Nintendo has consistently been able to do, and it's really as simple as Jeff said. It's hit or miss. They're either on point and they create something that you, the player, have not even thought that you needed before, but once it's out, you're like, holy shit, how has this not been a thing, and how do I live without it? Or they make something that's the same thing, bland, irrelevant, and just doesn't do well.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't sit on their laurels this time and make a freaking Switch U to make that
Yeah,
mistake.
but you remember what happened like when the Switch was coming out? They were talking about how Nintendo was going to fail at that miserably. Like, oh, no one's going to buy that.
Oh, dude.
And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, everyone like got there in the hands, and now everyone loves it to death.
Yep. And as the thing
That's
is,
Nintendo
like,
style.
they created a new thing going between TV and handheld. The Steam Deck did the next generation of it, where they're doing it with modern, and it can go on in handheld. I can play it and plug it directly with a dock onto my Switch kiosk. The other thing you can do, and I got it, I think it was either on Etsy or Amazon, but basically a USB like keyboard, but then it has a 3D printed bracket, and you can put the Steam Deck on it, and then I literally have a laptop screen. And it's
awesome.
It uses it, and you can connect a mouse to it if you really wanted to. You could play FPSs on it, like PC style too. But also I could use it as a laptop with Chrome and everything on it. And that's without putting Windows on it, because you can also put Windows on it. I haven't even done that. I'm just using the Steam desktop mode. I'm using exactly how Valve created it. And you can go between game mode, and then you can go between desktop mode. And desktop mode allows you to you can like do a Chrome browser, for example, and I can go on Google Drive, and that's how I've been updating the stuff for the book that I'm writing for it. I'm doing the Steam Deck book research on a Steam Deck.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Such a hipster.
Pretty cool. I'm not
right
going to get InDesign on that thing though. I just know I'm using that little ass screen to work in high def.
Yeah. Ouch.
And of course the trackpads, I've gotten used to them as a mouse, but having a traditional like actual pad to use does work, because I actually, this is how I make my books, Tristan. I don't use a mouse. I use this. I use my hands to make books.
Okay, I'm calling a shot here for Nintendo. Something they're going to do with the next iteration of their handheld console. They're going to make their next one bezel-less. And you're going to be able to connect them together to make a big screen if you want to.
That'd be cool.
To play together.
So you're saying now are they going to connect together like this and you're going to play together, or are they going to connect together like this and you're going to play together?
I can't see your screen except for like on YouTube, so I'm not sure what you're doing at the moment.
So you're going to go head to head or side by side?
Side by side, like, so that the screens are together. So, bezel-less will just make it a bigger screen.
Because what if they did it head to head, so that way you're facing each other doing a face off, and it's literally they just put it in a Nintendo Red Tent, and then we're good to go.
They'll do both. It'll be able to do both.
Because do you know that I think it's on PlayAsia or somewhere on a Japanese website, they created a Nintendo Red Tent arcade for Nintendo Switch. You can put two Nintendo Switch consoles.
Yeah. That's cool.
Awesome.
I have one.
I love that.
And it happens to perfectly fit the Pigeon Dev Games Collection Steelbook in it. And so that's my screen for it.
That's awesome.
That's how I've had it displayed for like years before I packed my house up. Like,
that's
it's
sick.
So cool. Because any game that's like has a vertical orientation, so Romancing, Saga 3, Final Fantasy 9 that we mentioned, and Pigeon Dev Steelbook all can have little screens in the. It's not practical to use that shit in handheld mode in a big plastic red tent looking thing.
No, of course not.
But it's so cool though. So cool. But yeah, no, I like that. Like, so the connecting multiple screens together.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Calling my shot.
That would be a cool one. Make sure you also trademark that.
Yeah.
Copyright that, because Nintendo has to file trademarks for that craziness. Because they're trademarking tech. That's where you're getting all these Switch Pro rumors, as Nintendo will trademark things. But they always trademark tons of ideas, so nobody steals it if that's what they end up going with. So, I feel like that they're just farming and marketing and figuring out what they're going to do with an iterative update. That's what I've seen from all the different sources and the news media sites. We're also on the other side as publishers, so we can see when they're going to roll out new tech, and there's been no inklings of anything formally announced or rolled out yet. We would be under NDA if there was, but like,
absolutely.
Then I would just say I can neither confirm nor deny. And then, something's brewing. But there's not been even an inkling yet, so we got at least another year before they start messing around with that stuff. Because back when they announced the OLED, I could already buy and pre-order one as a dev kit, well before it was available. However, Nintendo Switch dev kits only play dev games; they do not play retail. Same thing with PlayStation dev kits, Coffin. I could get the PlayStation Space Shuttle. I don't know if you've seen that. PS5 Space Shuttle. I can buy one. It's like $500, $600, $700, whatever it is, from Sony. But number one, it's controlled by serial number to the address, and then number two is it only plays builds. It doesn't play retail. So it's not like a system you can play with. It's literally a display piece and a testing machine.
That nowadays they require a license, and it's the license expires. So Sony, if you aren't even developing anymore, if you can't get like another license from Sony, then you're sitting on a brick. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I can get one right now as a publisher, and it's like there's really no reason because we're a physical games publisher. If we were actually working on dev builds and stuff, like I'll probably end up getting one for Switch eventually. But because we've had developers want us to send us dev builds and things, but 9 times out of 10 there's a Steam build, and so I just play it on the PC or now on the Steam Deck. So it's close enough. It's just their optimization on Steam with the port is what we're interested in. Really cool though with this talk though, because Tristan wants to have his multi-screen apparatus. There is one thing I want to do when I retire though. I want a wall of LCD screens, so you can go.
Hell yeah, dude!
You can go
Bezel.
on like I don't know if it's AliExpress or go on what is it, Newegg.
Yeah.
And you can literally buy these screens that are the pixelated screens, and you can put a bunch of them together. And I want an NES screen of that. I want to play NES on a big ass screen that just does it. I think it was Retro USB, Retro Zone had a display of Portland one year.
Yes, that was the year that I got the thing from Mr. Wizard. That was that same year. I remember that. It was playing Tetris.
I was there that year.
Nice.
But yeah, because I remember Bunny Boy had that there. And,
for sale too.
Yeah. If I wasn't flying, I probably would have bought the damn thing. But I'm definitely going to build something like that for my final place, just to have a ridiculous looking screen on the wall.
Well, see, the three of us, and I work at US Stratcom. Coffin used to, and I know that you've worked in some skiffs. So we've all seen these like command centers with that kind of setup. Oh my gosh, dude. They've got some crazy stuff. Like, I want that kind of setup for video games.
But you can technically do it. You have like they have like a board that you can actually have. It hooks to all your screens, and it's actually like a brain, and basically you put like a ton of 32-inch screens up there, which are relatively cheap, and you can make a gigantic screen. I know friends that do it for football, so they can watch different football games going on at one time, so they don't have to keep flipping through the channels. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little setup they do for those things.
Yeah. The other thing is you both are military. Super Nintendo. Are you all aware of the Max system?
Man,
Is that
you're gonna have
the
to take my
M16 one?
freaking gamer cred. Like, there's a lot of stuff I haven't heard of that you're
That's
throwing
the
out here today.
M16 one. Coffin's correct.
Yep.
So, essentially,
Oh, the Max. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't thinking old school.
Yeah, when I said the Max,
Okay.
I meant the Max. Yes.
I was thinking MAX Max.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, tracking now.
MACS. So I actually used it in basic training.
That's awesome.
I'm old. So essentially, like, it was on weekends, because essentially what the Max is a Super Nintendo with an M16 A1 rifle, which has the rubber hand grip that goes over it, that's connected with the cable, that plugs into a special cartridge that has a basic rifle marksmanship simulator on it. That's like the Super C game of Duck Hunt basic looking thing on it. So you can work on your zeroing and your firing at a classic military army range. So weekends, instead of trying to hide and sleep in my wall locker or something that some of the freaking soldiers were doing, I was just sitting there playing Super Nintendo with working on my rifle marksmanship and my breathing and shit. Interestingly, I've had historians lecture me on what was actually in the Max and stuff. Oh, it was just this and this, and I'm like, dude, I used it. I know how it was. There was an actual CRT TV that went into the wooden loading crate with it, and how it was marked, how the manuals looked. But I'll go gamer cred even deeper, Tristan, if you're not frozen.
I think I'm good. I'm good.
There's a Commodore 64 Max.
What? Whoa.
There is a Commodore 64 Max because I had the TM, the training manual for it.
Sounds very Cold War.
I never got to play it. And it's not very. It was around. It was before Desert Storm era, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I never got to play it. I'd never seen a Commodore in any training bay or any, basically CIF, which is a central issuing facility where you would have all the different stuff that you would get. Never seen one, but I did see some training manuals, some TMs of them. So that's another interesting piece. Now, the other thing is, there was a combination because they transitioned from the Max systems to this indoor rifle ranges. And in the indoor rifle ranges, they had this air pressurized system where it would give you a kickback. So you'd feel like you're actually firing a rifle. There's an integration system that I was playing, and it was in St. Louis, Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Lost in the Woods, where they actually had the Max that had the kickback.
That's crazy.
And people tell me that it didn't exist, and I'm like, I used it. Like, I actually used the system, and it was still on the A1s, the old versions and everything. The thing was, though, is it wasn't a dummy rifle. It's a legitimate M16, so it's not something you could, carry around. Because I've seen people have the fake M16s with their Max systems. I'm like, that ain't it. It has to be a legit one.
So we actually, it definitely wasn't hooked up to a Super Nintendo. It was hooked up to a computer, but we shot at I want to say it was like a projector screen, but yeah, we had kind of a similar setup for M16 training at one point. It was in Building D of Offutt Air Force Base. Coffin, did you ever? I mean, no, it was probably before your time there. But I remember that, we went through some similar stuff. I wonder if it was Max related. Same developers or whatever.
I seen one in a wood crate when I was in San Antonio, and I was at an army base there, doing what we call BC3. I worked with Cadams, and Cadams had boxes that they never used. The guy was like, "Yeah, I'm throwing a bunch of this stuff to DRMO," and I was like, "If you ever get rid of this, please call me." But he's like, "Nah." He's like, "This stuff's accountable." So he's like, "You're not getting any of this." He's like, "It's getting thrown in the garbage, not in the garbage, but basically down DRMO." But he had one that was never opened, which it was crazy, brand new. They don't use them anymore, so they're getting rid of them.
And they all got DX'd into the garbage but they had to
Yeah.
put it into the garbage
DRMO.
dump. Now, if you had a
Yeah.
hookup back in the day at DRMO, that's how the ones got out, because people would just go over to DRMO, pick them up after they were DX'd. Once they're DX'd, they're off the books officially.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
trash.
Yep.
You have to catch it. It's the same thing of going behind the GameStop and catching when they throw the freaking PlayStation kiosks out and they're just out in the trash.
That's right.
It's the same deal. Now the employees are grabbing them and flipping them for money. That's how how I got my kiosk was when the employees probably flipped the thing. But but back in the day, they just toss it out so people would go dumpster diving and all that stuff. It's the same thing here. Is there's a PS4 kiosk at one of the GameStops around me, and I told the employee, hey, let me know if it's once you're getting rid of it, because I'll be interested in getting it, be interested in buying it. I would say I'll be interested in purchasing it. Because if they have the opportunity, like heck, I would like a PS4 kiosk since we're publishing on PS4.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Pretty damn cool for the final, having like a little, I'd say warehouse, but in reality, like in Florida, it'd be more like a workspace for the team. We're not creating a store or none of that. I don't want to deal with any of that. I just want a workspace. Maybe it'll be a pole barn at the house that I just build or something. It's insulated and has air conditioning and an arcade in it. Have fun. Have tequila in there too. So Tristan, what else do they got in the news?
I already shot my bullet. Talking about the Final Fantasy remaster.
Yeah. Mario movies might hit 1 billion. That's pretty.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm so glad too, because that means that they're gonna make more.
And then
Milo's already confirmed it.
And then for Coffin, did you see yesterday? I mean, I'm sure you have on social media. They revealed a new world title belt for WWE.
I wish they would just go back to like maybe kind of a hybrid of the traditional Eagle belt from back in the day. They were teasing it with Cody, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna do the Eagle belt again, which is awesome. But the whole joke online about it is, and I was laughing about this, that Triple H is like, it's gonna be a belt that's not Roman Reigns, but they were making memes of Roman Reigns getting a belt, and then Triple H next week was making another belt so Roman Reigns couldn't have it. So I was just like, thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
but I hope they keep it away.
The meme that I saw is like, they do WWE draft, and now Roman Reigns gets the new belt. And then next year, WWE draft next year, and with a new belt and a cool looking design. And then Roman Reigns has that one on another arm, and then the next one he has on the next arm. And it's like, and then I saw like the arguments, because Cody Rhodes has been chasing that story for a year. In reality, it's very similar to what we've seen in the past with John Cena and The Rock, like almost hit for hit. So the thing is next year, essentially, there should be some kind of payoff. Online, they're saying that if he wins this new belt, it's not the same as actually beating Roman Reigns and taking the streak away, the title reign away. However, I think it'll be cool no matter what, and pro wrestling is fun.
I just wish they would just keep the belts separate. I'm tired of combining them. Like after a few years, they're like, oh, let's just combine them together, and then they have like the Universal title, and then they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to add another belt, and it just keeps kind of on the same cycle every couple of years. Just keep them separate, keep the show separate, and do the drafts. That's not a big deal. You'll have new, fresh faces all over the place, or even like like think of it like football. Like if someone gets injured, right? You could do a free agency where you can actually like we swap this person for this person and move people over and stuff. And I think that would be interesting. But like the way they do it with these belts is like crazy. But I'm hoping, by the way, and I'll say this honestly, who should get that belt first? So Cody could chase him. I think it should be Seth Rollins. That's why I think he should get the title for that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense and keeps in line with the story progression. I read somewhere that CM Punk was at Raw, which is interesting.
And Vince kicked him out.
But
so he can get in trouble.
I just didn't want the drama. But in reality, Punk's probably just trying to see what his options are. And I heard that AEW is going to be doing a brand split too, which, okay. Their talent pool ain't that deep, but it's fun to watch. So I think it's good for everything to have cool stuff going on. I'm digging it. I watch a lot of documentaries now too. I watch the history of the AWA back in the day and how they kind of dropped the ball by not evolving, Tristan. Not evolving. So when I watch documentaries like that, just like when I read the Ask Awada book, I try to put things into a more personal lens on things that we're doing as a hobby too. So it's like, as a publisher, not evolving would be a bad thing. So we got to consistently keep attuned to what's going on and make sure that we're, making cool shit. So it's the same deal. So that's kind of how I see it when I'm watching things. I'm always like learning, trying to make it cool. And wrestling's a fun little hobby thing. I don't watch wrestling. I watch results of wrestling and feedback and analysis. And that's the most interesting part to me. And then documentaries on craziness. There's one show, Coffin, I don't know if you've heard of it on YouTube. It's called Reliving the War.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so the dude, for those listening, is a guy on YouTube compares Monday Night Raw and WCW Monday Nitro. Episode by episode every week. And he does, he compares the matches that are going on side by side as they play out. It's interesting too because I think initially Raw was 1 hour, it moved to 2. Nitro was 2, moved to 3. So there's some unmatched hours there, and he covers those 2. And then at one point he was doing a score system, and then it got crazy. So now he just says who he feels won based on the quality of matches and what was most interesting at the time and historically relevant. Really cool though. And he does a lot of memes and shit too, where he's got the German guy that does the dances and all and the disco inferno.
The German guy.
Yeah.
Alex Wright, I think his name is.
Alex Wright. And every time now he has there's a woman that does talking about his big bratwurst. Big bratwurst. And he has all these little, and then he'll pick something that a wrestler will say in the promo. Like Bret Hart one time said when he was in WWF before he got screwed, said, "You don't have the jam." And so now they created a t-shirt that says Bret's Jam, you don't have it. like just dumb shit. And it's just very entertaining. Just like if you've heard of Botchamania.
Yeah, Botchamania is great.
And
Botchamania is awesome.
The other fun one, OSW Review, Old School Wrestling Podcast.
Yep.
And I actually did a Hagen's Alley podcast a few years back, prior on COVID, maybe before COVID. And I was using the same little acceptable in the 80s music around that same time. That was pretty cool. But yeah, there's some really cool YouTube wrestling stuff out there. It's just an interesting thing. What do you guys do do you do any video game content? Do you watch anything consistently on YouTube for content? What do you guys watch?
Sure.
What do you guys watch? What are some of your favorites? For example, I watched the newest Game Chasers episode. Really cool.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing a podcast right now, so I not so much anymore, but while I was overseas for that year, I listened to I was listening to, not really watching so much, the CU podcast. I was a huge fan. They have some interesting takes, and they don't really care about pissing people off sometimes, to a fault, but it's whatever. It's pretty entertaining.
Are you doing a segue, Tristan, to news?
No, actually. Is there some news?
There was a video that I posted in the premium group. I don't even know if
that. Yeah. Well, you can talk about that if you want.
I watched it today.
Didn't watch the whole video.
So there was an hour-long video from a YouTuber that trashed Pat Contry from CU Podcast, Pat the NES Punk. The dude reached out to me, and I just said, hey, he asked me a couple questions. I was like, yeah, I don't want any direct quotes. I don't need any drama. But he asked me about if I went to the SoCal Gaming Expo, and I was like, well, I applied and they said they would get back to me, and they never did. Like, I mean, that does happen at conventions, but I just read them what they said in the email. Like, I was like, here's what the email that they sent back in the day, and then I never like applied again until this year when Scott on our team's going. So it was interesting though, is that the guy went on so what he told me is that he wasn't happy with the way that Pat the NES Punk went after Brett Wise, the author Brett Wise, Tristan's buddy. But he did kind of trash Brett Wise for liking the Coleco Chameleon. No, not the Coleco Chameleon. The Intellivision Amico. And essentially there was a lot of people that, Tommy Tallarico brought on and got him excited. And he did his used car salesman shtick to build up hype for his new product that was coming up. That's what Tommy Tallarico did with a bunch of influencers, which is smart. He got people talking about it.
Sure.
But Pat the NES Punk didn't buy into it, didn't think it was a cool thing. They trashed it consistently on the CU podcast. And I mean, rightfully so. The thing's pretty much not going to be able to not going to happen because of mismanagement of funds, plus really not anticipating what it took to actually release a console.
Absolute pipe dream. He thought that his name could just wish a console out of thin air, basically.
Had great ideas.
Whatever.
Had a lot of great ideas for it, but ultimately didn't materialize. But a lot of the YouTubers were making promises or boosting it up and stuff. Some of them, later had backpedaled. Others just kind of let it go away. But Pat made it a point to do a Christmas special and trash them all, and went after Brett Wise too. But then also went after Brett with his writing and things. And interestingly enough, so the guy focused on a lot of details that had happened, but also kind of trashed Brett Wise in it. I think he called him a carny in it, did he? Coffin, you just watched it today.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Like, he kind of insulted
I need to watch the rest of it. I meant
Wise.
to.
So, like, because I asked Brett, I was like, hey, the video's up. And he's like, yeah, the dude called me. I was like, didn't you talk to him or something? He's like, yeah, I talked to him for, like, on the phone or something. I was like, and so he's like, he trashed you. Like, I was like, because, like, at the very beginning, he mentioned my book in there, the NES book, and how it was kind of like the beginning, which was kind of cool because I think how Pat treated my stuff was not going to talk about it and just nobody will know about it type deal. Yeah. Didn't really work, but based on my own personal goals, I was fine. I don't care. But,
yeah, and that's where I have a problem with, like, some of these gatekeepers in the video game community think that they're like celebrities and that, like, well, not. I'll back up a little bit. They think that their product is like can't coexist with other products, so they're always treating like other products as a threat.
Yes.
And I don't know, that just comes across like the way, we were talking about your book and the timeline of when it came out before Pat's book. Like, it sounds like, he thought maybe it would steal some of his thunder, which, maybe it did.
Well, and here was the thing. The guy didn't use this because in reality, like, it wouldn't have added anything to it, but the details of the timeline. I was a member of Nintendo Age, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Subcon.
Yeah, correct.
In my first printing, Coffin has it. Nintendo Age members wrote in that book.
Yeah.
I posted the details, example spreads, samples, years before Pat had announced anything. I worked on that book for years before I went to Kickstarter with it. Pat is a member of Nintendo Age. So, is there a chance that he could have potentially saw what I was doing when his layout looked eerily similar and did it a little more hardcore with a graphic designer. I built mine in Microsoft Word back in the day. I don't know what the hell I was doing. But but like, could he have seen it? Potentially. And that's what I told the guy who's doing the video. I'm like, there's a chance, but there's no proof. And number one, there's no intellectual property on a layout. He didn't copy any of my writing. My writing was super basic. I did like very short write-ups. Like I wanted a collector's book. Like that's what I want. That was the goal, was a mini pocket collector's book. Like that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I didn't go fancy on the layout at the time. And then once I moved to realizing that the art books were a thing, now we're to the crazy madness that we're currently at, where we're raising the bar on everyone. Like we're building we have Tristan's building 2,000-page tomes. But like, and the thing is,
for example,
But the thing is, though, is that the dude, gatekeeper, as Tristan would say, at conventions that we would coexist at, would send people, and I don't think anybody would come on their own whim. They would go, "Oh, is this Pat's book?" Constantly. It wasn't like one person would do it, and it was an ongoing joke. But my response would be, there can never be enough books on the NES or Super Nintendo or whatever book there is. So it'd be the same thing if somebody came and talked about Brett Wise's books, and I'm like, well, number one, Brett Wise was first to the kick. He did a text-only book. Number two, there can never be enough books on video games. Let's make more.
No kidding. Seriously,
like
dude, I mean, like, come at it with your own angle, of course, with your own content, of course. But I mean, like, just because another book exists that's on your subject matter, you know, mine being video game consoles, I'm not going to sit here and trash Phoenix 4 or Phoenix. They did it way before I did, and you know, theirs is just different. Man, forgive me, I can't remember the author's name off the top of my head.
Leonard Herman.
Thank you.
The Game Scholar.
He did an amazing job. It's in my bookshelf. Like, dude, I love that I have it. It's
have
a great
his
resource.
First edition. And the first edition. The staple bound
and like
first. Leonard's
dude,
awesome.
What's crazy is, like, whenever I was doing research for my own, I was consistently coming across like Brett Weiss's stuff. I never even heard of Phoenix until like last year from Barry. I'd never heard of it before.
Barry's
and I can't believe that I haven't.
Yeah.
What's that?
Barry's good friends with Lenny too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I came across Leonard at I think it was a Coleco convention, and I was just talking to him, and the dude's got a penchant of history and magazines too, and like he's been around. And
very cool. I'd love to meet the guy, seriously.
And then like I got him into another convention, which was I think it was a video game con in New Jersey. I assume Barry was there. Actually, I didn't know him at the time. But Leonard and I brought him on my table, and I was like, "Hey, let's put your books out, man. Let's sell some of your books." And he brought the brown box, the brown box, the original.
Wow.
Like, because there's like a few that were created. One's in Smithsonian. One Leonard Herman has, and it was sitting on the table.
Incredible.
We had it there, like history, sitting on the table. And the thing is if I was a gatekeeper jerk, like I would have never got to hang out. And
well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, just because another book exists that's on your subject matter doesn't lessen your book or their book. I mean, you know, there's just more information out there. That's
so. I mean, I do feel like that video was nice to see them, you know, at least acknowledging that my books exist. I do feel like, you know, because they were supposed to initially be a pocketbook, that they're definitely, the original version was not exactly what you know, up to snuff with the future books that came out on that. However, you know, my definitive reprint that I'm doing, that shit it's up to the new standard. You froze a little bit too, by the way, there, Tristan, so I kept it going.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'll just keep it going when those happen. But the thing is I just like, it's cool that somebody actually acknowledged that I, you know, did some cool stuff. And then the gatekeeping, It exists in every realm. So even with premium stuff with publishing, there's absolutely gatekeepers, and people could probably guess who the biggest gatekeeper is. But like it's just uncalled for, unmerited. Most of the all the companies work cool together. But like there's a
Yeah, I don't understand like where the animosity comes from. It's just like it's so catty, it's so unnecessary, it's so juvenile.
well, I think theirs is greed in the publishing side
Could be, yeah,
because
could be.
essentially if we make the coolest physical releases ever, which we're gonna make the coolest physical releases ever, those companies that wanted to potentially go with that gatekeeping company are gonna go with us.
Yeah.
Because physical, I mean, we just talked about it. Digital's kind of where things are moving toward, and physical is going to be niche. They're going to want the coolest stuff. So,
Yeah.
could they potentially just copy us and try to outdo us? Cool. Do it. Challenge. Gauntlet laid out. Do it better.
Yeah.
Other companies.
Here's a theory for you. For example, like this is like my thinking of it. Why this goes on? You know, who climbed Mount Everest first? Who's gonna know you're gonna know who the first person is, but it's always the second and third person. You're not really gonna know who they are. So I think people's mindsets is that they want to be first on the market for everything, so their name is out there. I'm the one that created this thing. I'm the one that everyone else around me is copying what I'm doing, and I think that's the issue with it. Instead of it, like, you know what? We're all working together to make these great books. You know what? We should support not only me, but we should also support this person and this person and this person. They don't want to do that. They want to be top dog, and that's the way it is, you know?
Well, and like, it was like,
Yeah.
I think they didn't, like, Pat didn't want to acknowledge that I had a visual collector's book before his visual collector's book. The irony is, though, there's a little tidbit, and Coffin will appreciate this, and Tristan, it's in yours too. My author's picture is myself and my daughter on the playground in Maryland. Right? That's one of the pictures. That is the day that Pat the NES Punk called me and told me not to release my first book that I was publishing on my own.
Juicy.
It was already done. I already had the Kickstarter ready to launch. I had done my trailer at that point. The dude called me on a Facebook Messenger call and told me, well, I was thinking about doing a book. I was like, well, what questions do you have? Because I already have the books in publishing. So I gave him a bunch of tidbits and helped him out. And gave him a bunch of hints on how to make his book better. And that is what I used that picture for a long time. And because that was like, I was like, well, dude, number one, I'm on the playground with my daughter right now. And number two, my book's already been done. I've been working on it for years. It's already done. I already am printing it, and it's going to Kickstarter. So, a little fun tidbits of the history of things. And that wasn't my first book. I already had a book that got an award before that. My Hidden Treasures book, which turned into Hidden Gaming Gems later when I re-released it. But that was the first one that I was fully publishing and figuring out the whole, because I wasn't using those self-publishing websites. I freaking hated those things. I wanted to do it myself from the ground up with my own quality using direct sources. And so that's when that stuff started. So I had that picture for a long time. That was pretty cool.
When we the first, we met in Portland face to face first time last year, and it was the first time I had ever sold my book in person at a convention or any vendor booth or anything like that. I was really eager to hand Gamester 81. I mean, let's just talk about what a treasure that guy is in the community.
We call you Saint awesome. Tristan of Ibarra. He is Saint John of Leicester. He is.
That dude is. I can't say a bad thing about him because there probably isn't one, but he's just an awesome dude.
He's a great dude.
And I haven't even known him that long, but he was the inspiration behind me making the book in the first place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was super, I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, dude, if you're going to be there, please stop by the booth. I've got a copy for you, free of charge, whatever. No strings attached. I just want you to have it because you were such a huge inspiration to me making it. And, I didn't even ask him to do it, and he freaking made, a YouTube video reviewing my book. And it was... I'm so thankful to him for that. It was super cool of him. I didn't expect him to do that. He didn't owe me anything for the book. But that was really cool of him to do because he's not a gatekeeper in this community. He wants to help other people out and get them noticed. Conversely, the guys that I've been following for a long time and fans of, Ian and Pat, I wanted to also, because I was such a huge fan of Ian, give him a copy of my book as well. So I ended up doing that. No strings attached. Well, I guess there are strings attached because now I'm talking about it, but whatever. And the same for Pat. I ended up giving him a digital copy because I was out of physical copies at the time.
Yeah.
But I think they never mentioned my book on their podcast because I'm not a paid advertiser. They're all about that,
Maybe.
Maybe.
So the thing is, it's interesting too, is that and Coffin can also talk about it. It was very fun watching your glow when people would come and buy your book and talk about your book. You're like a proud
dude,
papa.
It's so awesome. Awesome.
I don't know when I was asked, was it at the panel or somewhere, somebody asked, like, does it get old? Or does it, do things change?
It'll never.
And I've been doing books for 10 years now or longer.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's awesome. And it's like, there's people that come by and they've hell, Coffin, you freaking supported for a long time. It's fucking awesome. It's appreciated. And there's a dude that came by that had tabbed out versions of the NES Oddities book. And then
yeah. I met him.
And that same dude came by at MGC because he came by at Portland one year. And he came by at MGC and he's like, yeah, I was the dude at Portland too. And I'm like, dude, that's freaking, like, it's like you got like a history of cool stuff. And it's one of those things that you don't realize, but we're creating and living the history that some people will talk about in certain details in the future. Like, this shit will be preserved and people will talk about it and be like, hey, do you remember the golden age when we had conventions and we all got together and...
And Jeff, let me ask you a question. In those interactions, would you like to be remembered as a gatekeeping asshole or a very pleasant, awesome person?
I will tell you, being crazy, intense, hyperactive, fun is going to make people remember you. That's kind of how my panels go, is we just talk about everything and we go into all the details and everybody comes and shoots the shit. One of the things I never do is ask somebody to buy something, because I feel like if I'm making something cool as shit, people are going to want it. And then you just ask me, well, how much is it? And of course, everything's for sale. So, like, $40 or $20 or whatever. Like, I don't like to pressure anybody to buy things. Like, just come and let's shoot the shit about video games. Let's talk. So I always want to do that. Obviously, I at MGC had Kyle's memorial looming over me, so I wasn't as crazy as I normally am. But like, I felt like the tequila kept it going pretty light.
Jeff, none of us can be Phil Moore level energy.
Hell no.
He is
Rhyming.
so special. but think about this though, right now, like what we're doing right now. Okay, I met you when you were doing your books, and I always supported all your books when you were doing them. You know what I mean? And I used to conversate this with Abara about that all the time. Like, you should reach out to him. You're doing these books, you should definitely talk to him. He might be able to help you and things like that.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's actually a detail I didn't even think about. Coffin was the one who told me to reach out to you for the Black Box Challenge.
Yep.
And then Tristan said, we need to have this guy Coffin on the podcast because he's in our realm of bullshitting. Like, you can sit there and shoot the shit with us. And I remember a lot of people, like, there's so many people with Premium and with the books that have bought books, but I remember chatting with you at Phoenix. You're cool as shit to chat with.
Yep.
And so, like, there's a lot of people that I do remember. A lot of people I'll remember faces more so than names, because you get introduced to 100 people in a weekend, you're not going to remember everybody's name. Yeah. But I remember, like, or a conversation or a detail that I pick out. And then others, like, they come by and I try to remember, and then they'll jolt and a memory will come back. I have a terrible long-term memory. But the thing is, though, is I remembered yours. So when Tristan said, oh, they got this guy your coffin, I'm like, is that the dude that's in the Air Force? Because I remembered that detail. You were about to retire at that point.
Yeah, because when I came to Game On Expo, you were. It was funny because, like, I walked by, and then you were showing me your book, and then I was like, yeah, I backed you, and you're like, you backed me, and I was like, yeah, this is my name, and you're like, oh my god, you were the one that backed all my books, and I used to talk to you through email. We used to write. I used to write in your Kickstarter promotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I thought it was just really cool, and it was super fun. I was like, wow. And I told Amara, I said, I probably didn't have a really good time there, but the best thing was this. And so I'm happy this kind of, like, weird circle kind of came around.
And check this out. Jeff was remembered for being an awesome person and not a gatekeeping asshole. Weird.
Hey, I've had some of the people in the current circles try to trash Premium for things, and it's like, people who actually know us, they're like, wait, what? Like, no, that isn't how we do things. And in reality, though, there is also other craziness going on in video game publishing. It's just, the thing is, the one thing we're never going to try to do is surround ourselves by drama. So basically, we just ignore that shit. Have more fun. Move it on. Move it on. Have fun. But yeah, dude, it's very interesting, and there's things progress. And my other thing is that, like, the same thing is I will talk to a Tristan or a Coffin or random dude that came up to us in Portland that I found out was a heavy poster on Nintendo Age, and then realized two other dudes, one dude that was just looking at Premium's games, were all on Nintendo Age back in the day, and then we had a Nintendo Age get together. But, like, I'll talk to them, but I'll also talk to Phil Marr the exact same way. Or anyone. Sergeant Slaughter. I had a picture with him. Like, I'll just shoot the shit with anybody because we all put our pants on the same way. And they actually appreciate, like, somebody who's used to people getting starstruck over them actually appreciates that you just talk to them like a normal person. And then they'll hang out, and then we'll have drinks with them. And then all of a sudden, we're getting shout-outs from Master Daniel Pacino. But in reality, him and I cause trouble at every convention. Like, so it's like, it's those type of things where it's like, it's just human interaction, and treating people decent can go a long way. And so I think,
and it's so hard for some people. I don't get it.
Yeah, and like, we were talking about the video kind of evolved into kind of like a just people not gatekeeping and just being decent people. But, like, that the interesting thing is that the video itself was a bit, it wasn't that it was unfocused, but it did bounce around from things like people that Pat supported, that with things that maybe have taken out of context and then said that Pat supports it because he is friends with somebody who does support it. I think they talked about the Mike Matei cartoons and stuff. But the thing is that was a very weak, loose, like, thing. Is just because I'm friends with, the guy who runs the Metroid Data database, and if he decides to do something crazy, like, that gets himself in trouble with Nintendo, and he gets land blasted or whatever, say he decides to do an unlicensed port of AM2R and do physical releases in stores. Like, it wouldn't mean that we're a bad person because we know the dude, or we're friends with the dude. And then the other thing is that, like, none of those guys are jerks either. Like, Mike Matei is not a jerk. He's a cool dude. Like, it's all things taken out of context. And so, like, that, some of that stuff's weak, if you know what I mean. I also feel like it didn't really defend poor Brett too well, which is unfortunate, but he was trying to be as fair and impartial as possible with his video, the guy who created the video. to me, well put together though. Just some weak arguments. I don't know, Coffin. What do you think about the video itself?
I watched it today, and I thought was very interesting was the timeline stuff, like how it kind of matched up. I thought his research was really done well, but like I think he was a little bit like I think he was taking certain sides, but like I feel like across the board is like it's difficult for me because like I like anything obsessively for video games. Like you basically like are basically the foundation of it. You were the roots of it because no one really published a book on those type of things. Like especially like your collector's books. Abara knows me very well. I have this weird like visual memory of my collection, but to have something like small in my hands that I could like take to a store and like check off things that I was finding, like that's genius, like absolute genius, especially for a lot of collectors. And even when I was carrying your book around, a lot of people would be like, "Where did you get that?" And I'm like, "Oh, you need to go to this place right here. You need to support it, and blah blah blah." Because there was nothing really out there that was giving out data. The same thing like Abara, like with his book. I didn't know anything about consoles, zero about consoles until I met him, and he showed me things that like a rabbit hole that I've never even dreamed upon, of seeing or actually physically seeing in my hands that I've never, I was obsessed with video games, but I didn't know there was so many different consoles and different variants and things like that. So your guys' vast of knowledge, I'm like a sponge when it comes to that because this is what I enjoy. So
Dude, the
those
rabbit
things
hole
that
is
you
a
guys do,
nightmare,
it's a
man.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, even with like Tristan's book, and then I'm talking with him about something, and he's like, "Wait, what's that console?"
Yeah,
And what was it? The Arcadia, right? The X
Arcadia, yeah, and the EXA. Oh
and
my
it's
gosh,
cartridge based. Each cartridge
Yeah.
is $1,500, and it's
Yeah.
shoot 'em ups and exclusive
It's the new Neo Geo.
modern games that are like. There's a Battle Princess Madeline. That's Super Battle Princess Madeline. That's another third version because there's the Royal Edition, the regular edition, and then there's Super,
Yeah.
and it's a new game.
Yeah, it's like exclusives out the butt.
Yeah.
And it's not financially feasible to own one in the house, but would it be cool as shit to have it in a candy cabinet at my house? Yes, it would.
Damn straight.
So
Well, like for example, like
but that's how
like
deep the
Ryan,
rabbit
for
hole
example.
because that exists, and Tristan's like, oh well, shit. Do you need to make the Phoenix 4 version where you make a Phoenix 5? No. But is it a cool footnote to maybe include somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I went to MGC with you guys, like I didn't know Ryan ran the Metroid database, but when he said it, I was like, dude, I used to stalk that thing for like years and decades long of just like stalking that place, looking up Metroid news and things like that. So it's pretty mind blowing from even being around you, the people that you know, and all the people in the community that do so many just amazing things. It's just like I said, it's just like a sponge, and it's great that you guys do these things because I would have never known this stuff or what to look out for, especially like you got your Switch collection type stuff. You know so much about the Switch that I wish I would know. I just kind of go as find things as I go, but there's so many different games and different things going out there, different releases and limited runs of games. It's just really interesting how much knowledge that we have in the community, and we're able to print that out and pass that data along to somebody else.
And to me, one of the things, and it actually came out this last Christmas when they're doing, there was a collector's podcast that was talking about books, and they actually talked about one of my books, and I was like, holy shit, I got to mention, and it was my NES Oddities book. But it was one thing that I realized was very important with what we're doing, and it was when I covered all the NES homebrew games, and a lot of that information was available on like Nintendo Age forums, and those forums are gone. So the only way you can get that stuff now is in my book in that type of fashion. However, it's my research within that fashion, and that research is not perfect because I know for a fact, because I personally know Memblers who created homebrew. And I know he said he had a bunch of corrections for me after he had read the book. And I'm like, well, yeah, shoot me the corrections, and then when I do a reprint, if I do one, I'll include your fixes. He never got me the fixes, but I mean, Memler's a good dude, good buddy. But he hadn't got me those. But like, so it's not perfect, but it's quantified, and
it's something too, and I mean it's more than nothing.
Yes.
And I mean, like in my book, like I've got a bonus section that has a lot of the stuff that Jeff has, but Jeff's not getting pissed off about it that I've got the stuff in my book that's in his book. His book has, his has a different scope than my book has, so we can exist together.
Whatever.
You know?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like it.
Hey, he let me write about Predator 2 on the Genesis, so all props to Jeff.
Oh my goodness, Predator 2 on the Genesis. Holy cow! Yeah, that was a good article. But the thing is, that's the cool stuff. So like, that's where like me doing a Steam book, nobody's doing that shit because it's too crazy.
Yeah, man, that's
crazy.
really cool.
But also like I'm still working on year 3 of the Switch and currently doing the layout editing is what I'm doing right now. So because I've already done all the research and organization and everything. It's a huge freaking book already, and year 4 is even bigger. But I'm doing that because I want to continue it. Switch Collector Volume 2 Part 2 is in our shipping warehouse, and so those books should be shipping out soon. I made a crazy mistake though, Tristan, that I didn't realize that I did.
Whoa.
You know what I did?
No.
And Coffin may have noticed it because I don't know if did you do you still get the Switch Collector books, Coffin, or did you take a pause?
No, I get them both.
So, in the add-on section, I left the Kickstarter exclusive slipcover on there. I wasn't planning on doing one.
Yeah.
Oops.
50 backers got one.
Crap.
So, I'm doing it. I already contacted the book printer, and they're doing a slipcase. It literally is going to match Volume 2 Part 1 and Volume 2 Part 2. They're going to be 2 sides of the Switch. I already had it done, but then I decided, I'm like, oh, well, it's just Part 2. Maybe I'll do it for Part 3. But I never deleted it. But I also didn't promote it at all in the Kickstarter. I didn't talk about it. Yeah. I didn't post a picture of it. It looks cool as shit, by the way. The cover looks awesome. But, cool. Yeah, I got back the information from the book printer as well, because that was the 2 emails I sent. One was for your books and one was for the damn slipcase that I had oversight missed. So I had posted that in the newest backer update. I was like, hey, I made a mistake and I'm ordering them. Because I completely did not see that I added that, but 50 people want to get it. That's cool enough for me. I'll make it. One, because I put out a few quotes though. You'll get a kick out of this. One quote came back, and I think it was like close to $1,000 for 60 covers.
Oh my!
So I'm like, that's more than I paid to print the books per book. Like, I'm not gonna pay more for this. It was like $15, $16 a slip. It was ridiculous. Like, whatever the price was insane. So I was like, no, thank you. I'll go with someone else. But I appreciate you giving me the quote. Because like I can't go bankrupt making this stuff. But the other thing is though, Coffin, I didn't upgrade that I didn't tell anybody about. So with Switch Collector Volume 1, I did a mini manual of all the games that were in year 1. And I put it in a cool little Switch case. That was before Premium was a thing. So technically it's Premium's first Switch case. It's my first Switch case that I made. And then I did a cartridge-sized pin for that. So it's a little Switch Collector, but it's a little cartridge pin.
That's cool.
The one that broke, actually, on my damn vest at MGC. I have a bag of them that I found, by the way, when I was moving. But with Volume 2 Part 1, people were asking me, am I going to do a mini manual for year 2? So I did. However, I upgraded things. So I didn't tell anybody, but it's a mini book. It is the size of a manual, but it is hardcover, soft touch.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome. I haven't even seen them. Like, Josh and Sheena at our warehouse have them, but I haven't seen them. But, yeah. So, one thing, though, Tristan, that I've learned when we get your tomes is from shipping the definitive complete SNES with 630 pages. Number one, we've already asked for super binding. Crazy binding, because we need to make sure that shit stands a damn earthquake. Withstands an earthquake. But also, I want to get those wrapped at the printer.
At the facility, to protect them in shipping.
I don't trust a shipping warehouse to do it correctly. So, I mean, it's probably going to cost a little bit more to do it that way, but because it's heavy, I think it's going to save you in the long run.
I totally agree. I mean, the headache that that we dealt with replacing, the slip covers this time, I definitely like to avoid that if we can.
Yeah, and
stuff
and
happens,
the thing is
but whatever.
That we shipped the video game console collectors field guides, and we packaged them up because we're doing it. You know what I mean? Like our team versus yours are so big that we actually would have to get a third warehouse space to house all your books. So we're going to, because it's huge. Like, you're talking 20 pounds a set. So I'm just going to send them to ShipBob. Now, just imagine some poor employee that's working there, that's probably getting minimum wage or just above, and they get these giant tomes. They're going to toss them in a box, and they're going to be angry. So we want to make sure that this shit's protected. So when they get angry at our books, they're good. They're all going to be insured too and protected. So if something does go wrong, we'll make sure that it's reimbursed. Shit's crazy though, man. I've been doing this for so long that I already have plans on how to get your tomes out there without damage. And
hey, I'm glad. I'm with the right publisher. That's what it tells me.
I feel like we got to go to the moon with it. I mean, it'll earn what we get. It'll support what we get. I know you're putting this one on your own page, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, just make sure you add me as a creator on there, and I think it will give all my previous backers, like the Coffins of the world, an announcement that it launches. I think if I'm on there as like the publisher or whatever, I've done it as contributor, publisher, whatever it's called. If it doesn't, and Coffin will let us know, I think all I have to do is back it, and then people will get an announcement. So either way, so that way people see the
I emails. Yep.
Yeah, because it's when I backed Poglings, everybody got it. So yeah, that'll be it'll be a fun one. And my thing is like I'm seeing Kickstarter pledges still coming in right now as we're talking. Like it's
nice
because within the last 72 hours, you always see a big influx. You see a big influx at the beginning, unless you hard market it in the middle, and then at the end, you see a big influx. And right now,
Kickstarter is such a fun, stressful time, man.
Oh yeah, I stopped stressing about that years ago. It used to be a second or third job, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
But looking at the Kickstarter right now, it's getting closer and closer to the next stretch goal, which is pretty cool. Next stretch goal for everyone, just so I can go over it, is that we are going to add a bookmark ribbon and sewn spine with head and tail bands. Now, somebody asked in the comments in the Kickstarter, like, well, why wouldn't you just make that a normal include? So, why wouldn't we add extra things as a normal include for a book? They cost more money per book. It increases it significantly. So I put them as stretch goals because then it's easier to order those. Now, I'm still going to get a quote with all the crazy stuff, and I'll probably just pay for it out of pocket in general. But if we hit those stretch goals, it makes it covered, is basically it.
Yeah.
So I may still end up doing all that stuff because all my books have had that in years. For the last few years, all the books have had the coolest stuff because I want to make cool shit. But the stretch goals are there because it actually shows, all right, when I get to 15K, that makes that fundable, makes it worth it. Or I have to do the options and print less copies, which then it means that it's less cool stuff I can do in the future. It's this thing of return on investment and scope. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the joys of doing everything on your own that I've learned over many, many years. It's fun, and we're doing the same thing in game publishing, but it's exponentially more risky.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. But yeah.
Very.
Is there anything else we need to chat about? Anything else we missed? I think I'm good. Bullshit homework would be it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Yep.
So what did we play for bullshit homework? I already forgot.
We played Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Yeah. I assume that I played it the least, but I never know because I think we all were about the same for Metroid, even though, Tristan came on later. I'm only in the second world right now.
Same.
Okay. So I didn't play it the least. I play about the same.
Mm-hmm.
I love it though. It's great. It's super casual, super chill. Great for pick up and play. I've been enjoying my time just going through a level. I think every level but one, I got all the little gears. I did go to Maglor's land, Magical Land. I played the Samurai game, and then I put it all the way on the hardest setting and beat the Samurai game again. And that was cool. I just wanted to try that out. There's masks you can unlock, which is pretty cool. So I got a few masks already, which was awesome. I think I watched Ant Dude, which Anthony, it's another guy that I know from YouTube, through conventions, really cool dude. He covered it pretty thoroughly when it first came out, but there's apparently some really cool, like, you get everything, really cool final bosses where there's like extra bosses after you beat the game that are like a little harder, and like Omega versions. They said they did the traditional tree boss that you get at the end of World 1. They did him like crazy at the end. Like,
that's cool. That's good to hear. So I'm glad to hear that.
There's some fun challenges and stuff. But I thought it was really cool. I didn't get the mech suit one. Apparently there's a mech suit power up somewhere, but I did get the sand one was super cool. The water one was cool, and the whip, the Indiana Jones cowboy one, was pretty cool. Yeah. Like, I liked also how some of the power ups combined to classic NES ones, like your fireball and your fire are like combined now. I think the leaf one it had the traditional tornado one in there too. Like, so it's kind of cool. It's almost like double power ups and stuff too. But
yeah, I think the sword you can turn into a beam sword too.
Oh, that's cool as shit. I haven't seen the beam sword yet. But my bullshit grade, this last week was A, for Metroid Prime. But my bullshit grade is another A game, not an A plus, but an A game. It's fun. Am I going to continue playing it? Probably in short bursts. I'll probably continue to play it before I move on to whatever I'm going to play. However, I am tempted to play that Pixel Remaster Coffin of Final Fantasy.
I can't get it. It looks like it instantly.
Yeah. Won't be for bullshit homework though. But yeah, because I feel like with some of these shorter games, like, they need to be like a 1 week bullshit homework and see what we do. Yeah. I think I'll continue playing it as on the side just for fun. Maybe I can get my daughter to play with me. That would be awesome. I got a story for that before we sign off too, which is really funny. But all right, so go ahead, Tristan.
All right, I'll do a really quick review on that, and then Final Fantasy just reminded me of something else I forgot to say that's kind of a fail. But anyway, I'll start with Kirby. Man, why don't they make more Kirby games? They're so good. I mean,
they never release them.
They only make 17 a week. We
cool.
really should make more. No, just kidding. So, having played the original Kirby on like Game Boy, it was a nostalgia trip. With a fresh coat of paint and the art style they were going for. It kind of surprised me a little bit because everything, all of your characters have like this, freaking 7-point stroke around it, like a black border. So it's really a stark choice that they used for an art style. That's kind of cool, but a little distracting at times. The gameplay, I sometimes forget that what company made it, and I'm reminded why Smash Brothers has such floaty, um, not precise controls, because Kirby's the same way, and it was made by the same people.
That's true.
Yeah. To include the double tap dash, same thing.
Yeah.
So that's where Smash Brothers gets its floaty controls. It's Kirby. You have Kirby to thank for that, and I'm not a fan of it. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's just not precise enough for me. But it's Kirby. It's a cute game. It's there's it's very, very polished game. That was the one thing that I really took away from it, is a lot of work. But there's no surprises either. Once you get like a power up, it's designed around the level, so there's really no challenge if you know how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
And then the fail, Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. I got this notification, I think on Facebook or something like that, saying that I could order it. I'm like, oh crap, it's in stock. I'm like, I need to tell Coffin, but first I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, so I bought the digital bundle on accident, thinking I was buying the physical.
I know what site you looked on because they look like an authentic one. I
an
don't
idiot.
understand. Yeah. My comments at the top of it, because I was like, hey, how about you guys make some more games? That would be great, so I don't have to import it from Asia. That'd be awesome, getting in the States. And then a bunch of people started liking it, and then I thought I was gonna get blocked, but it's still on the top, and there's still a bunch of people on there still liking it.
Well, if you want to play it, you can come over. I've got it digitally.
Ooh, digitally.
Got a copy. So Tristan, you give a letter grade to Kirby?
To Kirby, just because it's more of the same. It's not enough for me to give it an A. I'm gonna give it a B+.
Yeah. Now I'm at a loose A because I haven't played the whole game. Like I'm just That was cool. And are you gonna continue playing it, or are you done? Moving on.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that part. No, I'm probably done, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not enough to keep my attention.
Yeah, makes sense. Coffin.
All right, so I finished it, and I also did Magalore's epilogue, and also I'll give you a couple other things that were added on there too. So like for my kids, for example, because they are learning how to game, they gave Magnalore a little safety thing on there. So if Kirby falls into the holes, he'll actually come out and he'll actually pick you up. And he'll actually give you potions when your energy's low and things like that.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool for my kids. 3-player co-op, so like couch co-op with 3 people. So it has Meta Knight, King DD, and then Waddle. And then one person can be Kirby. So basically, you could have, like, for me, I have my kids. I can have me playing with 2 of my other kids, and we can all sit there and play. And it's really funny because like they versed the tree in the first one, and they just wrecked them because all of them were like all different characters, and all they were doing was like hitting them and like knocked all their energy off immediately, which I thought was hilarious.
That's funny.
The mass stuff was pretty cool, and like the gears, for like completionists, if you're like a big completionist in this game, there's so many different things you can get in the game. I like how they use the abilities in this one, where they give you 3 different types of abilities in each little setup. So you got like a slide, you got like a big power up, and then you got that special ability where it gets like for example, like the sword where it gets gigantic and you can like hit them around and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yep. That's cool. The mech was from I don't know if you remember the game on 3DS, the robot game. That's where basically it looks like a Gundam. It's hilarious.
That's awesome.
And then the sandcastle one, I saw that one too, where he makes like little sandcastles when he does the abilities, which I thought was really, really cool as well. If I give it a grade, I would for my kids and me, I would definitely give it like a A-. And if I would play it again, of course, my kids love Kirby, they love Mario, they love Sonic, so it's a good generational game. So if you have kids, I would highly suggest picking it up, either on this or they have it on the Wii where it came out originally. This one has a fresh coat of paint, of course, so I would suggest the Switch version of it. And but if you have kids, I would highly suggest checking it out with them. It's a fun family type of game for this type of platforming.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was loose A on it.
Disclaimer.
I think going toward an A minus makes sense, and I mean, I couldn't get my 11-year-old to play it, and that's where actually a little after story is funny. So my daughter got home from school on Friday, and all of a sudden had a renewed interest because my computer was on the Switch kiosk, but she wanted to play her original Minecraft village that we created when she was like 3 and 4 on Switch. And yeah, it was that long ago, like right near the beginning of the Switch.
That's awesome.
We had played it on the Switch edition, which doesn't exist. You can't download it anymore, mind you, because the digital version isn't available, because then they created a different version physically. She was playing it, and she said she had a school project where they had to create a bunker, and they could do it in Minecraft or Roblox too, and do a video and post about it. I was like, well, why don't you play it on Roblox? And she's like, oh, well, I want to do it on Switch. It's more nostalgic for me. That's what she said. You know, she's 11. So
That's awesome.
I was like, okay, cool. So she's playing it, and I talked to my wife later, and I'm like, I bet she got banned from Roblox for doing something inappropriate. And Sunday, my wife asked her, and yeah, she had either uploaded, or a friend of hers in her Roblox game uploaded an inappropriate skin, and so she had a week-long ban going on or something like that. So that's why she was playing the Nintendo Switch, not because she loves the Switch and was looking to get nostalgic. She had gotten her Roblox account taken. Now this is her second account. She got one taken down before too from getting hacked. But my daughter's doing command line hacking in Minecraft when she was like 6. So who knows what she's doing now, and we monitor the chats and everything, so we make sure there's nothing crazy going on. But yeah, she definitely is at fault for some of that stuff, and she's been grounded for about 3 or 4 days, because when she gets on electronics too long on a weekend or something, she acts up. So she needs a clean slate, and then she turns into a normal kid when you do that. It's really odd. Give her electronics, turns into a normal kid. Like, very fun having a crazy gamer child who does cool stuff. But yeah, so she didn't want to play Kirby with me, though. I was like, well, I'm playing Kirby. You want to play? No. Goodness. So what are we doing next for bullshit homework?
Let's rewind the clock. We've been doing a lot of modern stuff that just came out. One thing on my bucket list, and I'm ashamed to say it, I've never beat Mike Tyson. I've always got to him, but man, he kicks my ass. So let's see if I can do it. Have you guys ever beat Mike Tyson?
Gotham?
One time? Yeah.
One time. And that was only because I survived. That was it. I did not beat him on my own. I survived the 3 rounds. That was it.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
So you may not know some of my history then with Punch-Out, Tristan.
No.
I have a few world records on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out.
So you've done it a few times.
So I've done it a few times. However, my records that I actually have had, whatever, I set them on the old Trin Galaxies website before it got sold. I did the Super Punch-Out one in person. It's usually like my Super Punch-Out one was for Gabby J in person. I've tied a bunch of them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're saying.
And I've tied a bunch of them in person, so like Last Show and all that stuff. I never got the one for Mike Tyson, but I do have an old bar napkin or sheet that I had as a kid that was with my copy of the game that showed all my scores and all my times from back in the day. And I had one for Mike Tyson too. So I definitely had beaten him a few times. I don't feel like he's as hard as Rick and Nick Bruiser in Super Punch-Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are tough.
But also, it's been an issue when we talk about the theme of the episode, playing new ways to play old games. I never quite had the perfect way to play it outside of on my Sharp NES TV. So Tristan just added a challenge for me because I'm going to try to do it on the Analogue Pocket. And I'm going to try to do it on the Switch Online.
I'm going to play it on my PlayChoice 10 arcade cabinet.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to try to play it, Coffin? NES?
I will play it on my AVS, my original card. But I do have something interesting for us that I want to throw in here. A little challenge for all three of us. Soda Pop Pipsky, fastest time. So basically, you'll take your time.
It's the worst.
You'll take your time, and then we'll bring them to the next one, and we'll see who got the fastest time.
Okay, yeah.
Take a little picture of it.
I like it. Oh, I hate it. I hate Soda Popinski.
I hate him too. That's why I picked him.
So awkward.
I know he hates them, but I think it'd be a fun little challenge for all three of us.
Yeah.
I may fail y'all if the lag is too bad, but I don't think it will be on FPGA on the Analog Pocket.
You should be all right. I'm afraid for Coffin. Wait, no, you said you're playing it on AVS. You'll be all right. Yeah,
I think fine on AVS.
We'll all be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I might try to do it on Switch so that way I can just take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That also means I can't just use the code and play versus Tyson. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I can use the code and go up to the final circuit. Just keep practicing. That's gonna be fun now. So let's wrap things up. We're over 3 hours. Jesus.
Yeah.
So cool. So next week we'll be recording. Let's try to get the stream over on Tristan's side. Maybe it'll fix his camera and blur mine. Just as
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That'll be a cool experiment.
Plus, if we don't get it going and I still have access here, we still can record if we need to. We had talked about too. We do the live right now with the chat, but we may, once I move over to Florida, may move over to doing more of we record it and then we interact with the chat during because I'm going to be 6 hours behind. So right now it's 6 p.m. Hawaii time and it's midnight here. So like that's pretty insane. So we might just have to do like a weekend recording or something else that makes sense, or so I can record early in the morning. Yeah. And you guys will be in the afternoon or the evening. And that way we don't have to be up, you guys up until fucking 4 or 5 a.m. and have to work the next morning or something. That's not feasible.
Yep.
So it makes sense. But yeah, it would be cool. And then Super Dungeon Maker is up on the website for premium edition games. Zelda Maker, essentially. Really freaking awesome. Poglings has still got 2 weeks left on their Kickstarter. What are they, over $1 million now? No, $300K. Pretty crazy. Tristan's camera's frozen again. But yeah, Poglings is
It'll be great.
Yeah, that's a freaking Chow Garden awesome ass game. And then next this week, the Retroware games Eagle Island, Twist, and Love 3 will be pre-orders will be ending. I think Friday is what Frank on our team told me. Friday, those 2 games are going to be ending for pre-orders.
I cannot stress enough how good those games are. Just so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we got that. So Super Dungeon Maker, Poglings, Retroware ending. And then Monday, Wife Quest goes up for pre-order for Switch.
Yeah.
So there you got waifu style games. So that'll be a really fun one. That's going to be our last Switch one for a while. Then we have an NES game coming out right after that. And I'm going to be in transition. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to be also running starting in May, which is Monday, I think, 5 miles a day or whatever. I got to get 100 miles done while I am homeless. No. So it'll be fun. I need to, it's for suicide awareness for suicide awareness for soldiers and stuff. So it's a good cause, good charity.
Heck yeah.
Good cause.
Got any parting words?
Oh gosh, just wish me luck while I finish out this book, man. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, but
Heck yeah.
I gotta close it out. I want to make sure that it's done before it goes to Kickstarter. That way there's no delays. Well, it wouldn't be done before Kickstarter because there's like a Kickstarter portion of the book, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, yeah.
No, it's
So
it's
just,
good form to have the bulk of the book completely done, and then you just
yeah.
finish it up. It's the same thing with my NES book. Everything is done with the NES book, and then I add in all the stories.
Yep.
That's what I'm gonna add in. And it's the same thing with Switch Collector. Year 3, I'm working on year 3 layouts right now. It's gonna be done, and then I'm gonna add in the stories.
Yep. Yep.
That's the fun part. And of course, we're making other crazy shit for premium. That's gonna be mind blowing.
That's right.
What you got going on, Colin?
Well, you guys can follow me at GI Gamer 1981 on Facebook. I do videos mostly during the week. I also do conversations just like this about certain things. I just did FOMO, fear of missing out, and how it's affecting collectors. And so I did that last Sunday. So you can send me a like or a share. I would appreciate it. And pretty much I'm going to just basically be working at my job tomorrow. I'm going to be climbing in an airplane tomorrow doing inventory. So it should be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We will definitely see you next time.